Let me feel your love again.
Yo, what is going on, Papa fam? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Sunny, aka Papa React, and you know how we do it. Google Shopping. This is a sick clone. Next.js 13.4. All the latest and greatest bits of tech only for you guys, because you know I'm always trying to push the boundaries, always trying to teach you the latest stuff, and always trying to make it easy for you to pick up your coding journey and just run with it. So let me know what you're watching from right now. If you're watching the replay, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe. We're about to give a demo of the entire application. Already got comments flying in. We've got Sydney, Australia, India, UK, Sri Lanka, India, Denver, Cali. Oh, this is it. That's what I'm talking about, guys. Welcome to the stream. Tanzania in the house. That's what I'm saying. Papa fam, let's see a demo of today's build, the Google Shopping clone. You ready for this? You ready for this? Wait for it. Wait for it. Check it out, guys. Welcome to the Google Shopping clone. Here we have an awesome app. And guys, this is using so much tech under the hood. So I'm going to really try and break this one down, because I haven't done a lot of what we're doing today inside of a build before, right? So firstly, you know how it is. Always mobile responsive, always good stuff. Let's go ahead and type in a search. So I'm going to type in a MacBook Pro 16-inch. First thing to notice, this right here. When I hit click, when I hit search, you see searching right now. Boom, we've got skeleton loaders. What? I'm going to show you how to do that. And then you can see we get a dynamic search results. And guys, no joke, that scraped Google that fast through the power of Oxylabs. More on that in a second, but look at this, guys. We have all the results coming in. Notice how even the dynamic filters came in. So this was all dynamically pulled in. Let's try another search. Let's do iPhone 14 Pro Max. Boom, searching. Oh my God, that was already cached. That's crazy, right? Let's go ahead and do something like a MacBook M2. Boom, searching. Oh, now it's loading it. So we've got that nice little skeleton loader. Pretty sick. We haven't done that in a build before. And then just to prove a point to you guys, look how it's different now. Look how everything on the side changed. So let's go ahead and click into a result. Boom. Let's go ahead and touch into this one. And look at that. Like, it's blazing fast. And this is what I want to like showcase today. How you can build incredibly fast websites using incredibly powerful bits of tech such as Oxylabs, and go ahead and combine that all together to build incredible apps like this. Here we have a beautiful app, so you guys can see it, fully responsive, everything looks great. And I didn't just finish there. We've also got filters. We can filter our search. We can do high to low, min price, max price, all that good stuff. But the main important, impressive thing right here is that this is pulling from the actual Google Shopping website. So this is the actual Google Shopping website, and I want to prove a point here. If we were to go ahead and take this ID right now and go ahead and pop it inside of our own website, boom, this is literally scraping that page. Like, it's doing it right now. Scrape the page, and it went ahead and popped it in here. That's crazy powerful, guys. And I'm going to show you how you can do exactly that. This is something you want to add to your portfolio to showcase that you can use amazing bits of tech such as Oxylabs and combine them with Next.js, cutting edge technology, and get this out onto your portfolio. It shows a lot of different skills, and honestly, it's so cool what's behind this build. We have lots and lots of other things to look forward to. We have TypeScript, Tailwind CSS, Tremor, Vercel. We're going to deploy it, obviously, and all that good stuff. But before we jump into this, I want to give you a quick demonstration. First things first, I mentioned before, if you're just tuning in, because I can see so many people flying in right now, make sure you hit the subscribe button, like the video so I can drop more of these. Guys, I have so much new stuff, even server actions. I have a new video dropping out this week. Your boy is trying to pick up the frequency with the videos. I'm coming in hot. I just need your support with smashing that like button. Now, let's dive into what makes this entire thing possible. And just to showcase something to you, this is literally real data being pulled in from the Google API. And you're probably wondering, but why might I want to do that? Maybe I could just use the API itself. Well, in some cases, you want to scrape data from websites, and it's not always a possibility to do that, using something like a Python script or something like that, because what tends to happen is they get blocked, right? They simply get blocked. This is where proxy services such as Oxylabs come in absolutely clutch. So Oxylabs is an amazing service that they're actually working with us today to make this entire thing happen. They're an industry-leading web scraping solution, and they have the world's largest ethical proxy network. They're the only ones who actually propagate ethically and responsibly scrape. So that's something which is quite important for a lot of you, I know, because I get loads of comments thrown my way. Okay, so they have 24/7 support. So actually, when I was building this, they reached out a couple of times. I actually reached out a couple of times, and they helped me out so fast. Okay, so we're going to dive into a couple of things. There's no additional fees. Everything's up front, you know, it works the way it is. And something I want to mention, what is a proxy scraping platform? What is that, right? So essentially think of it this way. You've got thousands and thousands of computers. They call this a proxy network. And what they're doing is essentially mimicking a user going onto a page, and then they've built out APIs which are basically scraping the data from complex pages. Think Amazon, think Google, think booking.com. All these really important websites that we use in our day-to-day life, sometimes we need data from them, right? And it scrapes it ethically with a service such as Oxylabs. Diving into it, they've got tons of different things. I would definitely recommend you jump over to Oxylabs, give them a look, and your boys hooked you up with a free trial. First link is in the description. All you have to do is sign up to that. Go ahead, get your account ready. Oh, Frank, what is up? Good to see you here. Papa Fam special tier member. There we go, man. OG in the house. And it's so easy to use. Honestly, this is by far the damn easiest scraping solution I have ever used, okay? And it doesn't just end there. They have incredible documentation. You can see over here, they've got a ton of different proxies. So they've got search engine results scrapers, they've got web scraper APIs, and they've even got an e-commerce scraper API, which is what we're using today. So this is something which is really, really gonna help us out. Now, if you do get stuck at any point, check out their documentation. In fact, today we are going to be using the e-commerce scraper API. And as you can see, they support lots and lots of popular websites, including Google Shopping, which is what we're going to be using. Now, for the shopping search, you see, remember that page that we were first on? So let's go back over to the home page. Let's type in like monitors over 500. These are some quick searches. And as you can see here, monitors over $500. Here, for example, all of this data that you're seeing right here, this will be utilizing the shopping search. Right, so this will be using the shopping search API. And what's amazing about this is that they've literally created an easy to use API that we're going to go ahead and connect to. We're going to create our own API endpoints as well. So this is a full stack build. So you're going to learn a lot of front end, but you're also going to learn back end stuff, which is very important to a lot of you. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and connect to their API, pull the data from the shopping search, and then when we click into an individual product, we're going to go ahead and use the shopping product, right? So in this case, you can actually go ahead, look here for yourself, and you can see there's code examples. Lots of different languages are supported, including Node.js. There you go, right? So if you ever get stuck, you can feel free to follow along and check out the documentation, okay? Now, it's worth mentioning, to save ourselves a little bit of time and space, I've not pulled the images here. Instead, what I've done is when you click into it, it goes ahead and showcases and pulls the images and so forth, right? So that's why I've done it in this way. But yeah, I'm going to demonstrate all of this to you. So it's actually pretty damn easy. A lot of you are like, what? That's crazy. That's so cool. And by the way, guys, this is using Next.js 13.4 at the time of watching this video. So if you are thinking, you know, I'm not sure when I'm going to actually be able to, or maybe I'm on, you know, Next.js 13.6 by the time you're watching this, I don't know, whatever is out at the time you're watching this, then don't worry, this works, it supports. Remember, the main thing here is I'm teaching you a lot of fundamentals. The new app router we're covering how to go ahead and build out dynamic routes, all that good stuff. All of it is going to be covered in this build. So get excited, get ready. It's going to be a lot of fun, right? So yeah, somebody says, does it bypass rate limitations? Yes, that's literally what proxy servers are pretty damn good at doing, okay? Now, it's definitely worth mentioning that there's tons of different ways to integrate it. So we're actually using something called a row time synchronous pull. And what this means is we're basically making a async await call, right? And then we're basically fetching the data. So we're waiting in real time for a response to come back, but they have tons of others. They actually have asynchronous methods such as a push pull. They have proxy-like integration options. So tons and tons of different things to go ahead and get you set up. But enough talk, right? Let's just get into the damn build, right? Let's do the thing, right? And remember, if you do get stuck at any point, you can go ahead and check out any of the free content on our channel. So, you know, this is literally what this channel is for, to help you build out your skill set. And if you do want to go ahead and elevate your skill set to that extra level, head over to papareact.com/course and check out our 0 to Full Stack Hero flagship course. I literally put my heart and soul into this thing. Every single thing that you see on the live streams, times it by 10, that is in the course, right? So times it by 10, and honestly, the coaching calls, weekly coaching calls, module content, every single week I push into this course. It's literally evolving every single week. And think about it, this course has been out now for quite a while, and I have been adding to it literally every single week, or I try to every single week, right? Think about how much content is in this course right now. So this is something which I really want to sort of showcase before we get started, because if a lot of you do get stuck, a lot of you feel like my projects are too intense, too hard, definitely want to go ahead and check out papareact.com/course. See for yourself, check out the video. You got our students inside, literally they love it. A lot of our students are watching right now as well. And if you want to find out even more, then yeah, this is the page to visit. And if you haven't already, we've got loads of new people enjoying the new University of Code. Every single day we send you out coding problems and solutions to your inbox. So whatever you're into, we've got you covered, right? That's papareact.com/University of Code. All the links and stuff like that is in the description. So feel free to check it out. Oh wow, we got a donation coming in. Harshit Saini, thank you so much. I appreciate you, dude. Right, without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump into this right now. So remember, if you do get stuck at any point, feel free. By the way, I just want to mention this, right? When you watch these videos, try and watch it and actually enjoy it, right? So watch it, enjoy the content, rather than trying to follow along with me. And you know, you might get stuck and then you think, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. The reason being is, honestly, the whole journey should be fun. So get enjoyment from it, enjoy the video, and then afterwards you can watch the replay, follow along. If you get stuck, you can join Zero to Full Stack Hero. You see what I mean? All this good stuff. Like, don't stress. You will get there in the end, and I've got your back. The Papa Fam is here to help you out. So let's dive into this. Right, let's do this. Create Next app. So this is actually our app. Like I mentioned, we're going to be using Next.js 13.4, and we're going to dive into a bit of coding now, right? So first thing I want you to do, and it's worth mentioning that we are going to be using React server components. We're going to be using nested routes inside of here. The simplified data fetching, I will show you how to basically do caching, all that good stuff. And I'm actually going to make a dedicated video on server actions and on caching. So you guys have asked me a lot of questions. I am going to go ahead and help you out a lot with that. I know you guys are enjoying the podcast, but I'm coming back with the coding content as well, right? Let's go ahead and kill it. Someone goes, Bryce, he says, your channel is a lifesaver. Thank you so much. A live server. Okay, I guess it's lifesaver, right? So we're going to use the Create Next app to go ahead and kickstart things off. And I'm going to actually go ahead and restart some of the music. We've got some new songs on the playlist now. If you want access to the playlist, all of you guys come to the website and ask for the playlist. So you guys can actually go ahead and check it out for yourself on the website. All you need to do is literally go to papareact.com. At the bottom, put your email in, or in the description it's there, and you can go ahead and get sorted out. Yeah. Now I do want to mention, before we get started, the service that I mentioned previously was it is Oxylabs, and it's going to be what we're going to be using inside of our build. Now I do want to mention the first link in the description gives you a free trial, so make sure you go ahead and benefit from that. It gives you a free trial to go ahead and get started, and you can see your boys hooked you up with PapaFam20. So all you need to do is literally sign up, create an account, and you get your free trial. Okay, so I forgot to show my screen. All you need to do is go ahead, head over to the first link in the description, and you'll see PapaFam20, click try out, create an account, and you're good to go, right? Your email, your username, password, everything gets literally sent to you via email, right? And then I'll show you how to access it all inside once we're there, right? Good stuff. Whoa, we got Abo, a demo. Oh, what's up, Abo? He's an OG member in the house. This is sick. We got loads of family members in the house. This is cool. Jack says, love that you're doing web scraping projects. Others are too afraid. Nah, we don't shy away. I take the challenge on. Shehan says, Sunny, big fan. What's up? The Daily says, I missed you. I missed you guys too. We're gonna absolutely crush it today. Right. First things first, let's get started. Create Next app. Boom, are you guys ready? So this is how I would recommend you start your apps. This is going to give us a starter template, npx create next app at latest. This is going to give us the latest version of it. You can use all these other services. I'm just going to keep it very straightforward. If you don't have npx, you probably need to install Node. Okay, so I'm going to try a different sort of pace today. So let me know if the pace is good, if the pace needs to pick up, if the pace is slow, all that good stuff, right? Now, I want you to open up your terminal. And I like to go ahead and put things into perspective by just put things a bit neatly. I put it into my documents, builds, and then I go ahead and I do npx create next app latest. Now you don't even need to put a title here. You can just literally hit enter, right? And what this will do is it will go ahead and get us set up. So let's go ahead and do this. And you can see, is it okay to proceed? Yes. So hit the enter key, and then you'll get a few prompts. So what is your project name? So in this case, I'm going to type in Oxylabs Google Shopping Clone YouTube, right? Call it whatever you want. It's completely fine, right? Kunal says, Oxylabs trial is for 7 days. Yes, so it's enough to go ahead, get started. What I would recommend is that if you want to put this on your project or your portfolio and you just want to leverage the 7 days, go ahead, sign up, see what the service is like, create a video recording of your entire app, put that on your portfolio. That way you get the best of both worlds. And if you love the service, you can continue to stay on with Oxylabs. That way, we all win, right? Mr. Frank, yo, $10 donation. I love you, man. Enjoy the process. Don't get frustrated. Papa Fam strong. That's what I'm talking about, Frank. Love you, man. Honestly, the dude's always in our streams supporting us. Thank you so much. And it's so true, honestly, like all of these coding tutorials, everything, It can get frustrating. Don't stress out, okay? Just take your time. This is why we have a community called the Papa Fam, which helps us overcome. There's literally, you cannot get stuck with a community. That's why we built this thing. That's why you should join Zero to Full Stack Hero, right? So join TypeScript. There we go. Yes, yes, Lynn. Tailwind CSS, yes. Source directory, no. App router, yes. Customize the import aliases, no. We're going to keep it as it is, right? The new aliases are pretty cool as well, right? So in this case, this will set up our project. In the meantime, you can literally see for yourself that this goes ahead and does it. And if you get stuck at all, and it's something worth mentioning, they changed the Next.js documentation recently. So if you see here using pages router, you want to make sure you're using the app router, okay? So Next.js 12 and all that good stuff is over here. Next.js 13 now uses the app router. So you want to make sure when you're looking at the docs, don't get it mixed up, right? Just don't accidentally be doing things in pages when you're working with Next.js 13. What? Abo, $10 donation. That's crazy, man. We literally already got like $30 in donations. Wow, we haven't even started. Thank you so much, dude. I appreciate you. That's my food after it's done. Handled. Sushi on Abo. I appreciate you guys, man. All right, so at that point, we should have everything set up. Let's go back. Perfect. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do cd Oxylabs. And then we're going to say Google shopping clone YouTube. Okay, dash YouTube, right? And then you can see I've got this over here, right? So then I'm going to do code dot, like so. And that will open up VS Code in the perfect setup, right? Now let's go ahead and chuck that out the way. So get rid of that. And then I'm going to just prepare my screens a little bit. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pretend as if we've got a design team and we've got a couple of designs and we need to go ahead and build it according to spec, right? So the way I like to do this is I like to just screenshot. Usually I do it before the build, but screw it. I'll do it right now with you guys instead. And, oh, I haven't got access to that. Okay. Where's my, right, let me quickly get access to my shortcut doesn't work. Okay. That's fine. Anyway. We've got this. I can run it on a separate server. That's fine. So we're going to go ahead and build this out. So heading back over to my build here, you can see the welcome, right? So this is what you're going to start with. This is your Next.js starter template. Giancarlo says, yo, Sonny, how is it going? I'm going good, dude. Thank you so much. And we have the new app folder. Okay. So pay attention. Now, is this a good screen size? I can make it a bit bigger. I can make it a bit smaller. Let me know, right? So in this case, what I want you to do is Command J, and I want you to go to output. Now you want to close this one, close the debug, and you should have your terminal. Command B to hide the sidebar. And I want you to do npm run dev. Now before you do that, check your package lock. If you have a yarn lock, then probably it's better. You should be doing yarn run dev, but I'm using npm, so package lock. Okay, so npm run dev, hit enter. Now this is not going to work for me, so because I have to cancel my old running, my old service. So I'm going to cancel that right now. So npm run dev, like so. And you can see we've got the localhost 3000 running. Now what I want you to do is Command J to hide that, Command B to pull this up. And I want you to go to page.tsx, and you should see we've got a bunch of stuff here. So what we should have done there is that we've actually started our application. So if I refresh our localhost 3000, this is what you will see, right? So give it a second just to load. You will see this, a starter template that gets us set up, right? So this is the way I want you guys to start. Boom, we just smashed over 200 likes already. Let's go, Papa Fam. Smash that like button if you're excited for today's build. Let's keep going strong, right? So what I want you to do is everything inside the main block, I want you to take it all the way down and just get rid of it, right? Just delete it. And then we're going to go to the image block, get rid of that, right? And then this is a little trick for basically centering a div, right? That's a funny running joke. And if you don't know how to do it, definitely practice that, right? Definitely play around with Flexible Foggy. We're going to get rid of that as well. All right, and I'm going to type in H1. Let's build a Google shopping clone with Oxylabs. Boom, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. Head back over here and you should see this, but you're probably wondering why the hell is the background black? That's because we've got some default styling. So Command B, globals.css. We want to go ahead and keep the top because that's importing and setting up. They've already set up Tailwind for us, so this is completely fine. Johnson Delamy says, I'm back and I'm been a while. I'm motivated to return stronger strength. Thank you for sharing your skills, and I appreciate you, dude. Delete all of this. Go back. And then I want you to go into your layout.tsx. This is where basically everything is going to get rendered. I was going to make it one dash smaller. I think that's okay as well. Right. And then I'm going to get rid of this. I don't care about the font right now. Metadata, you can customize to your heart's content. And we're going to do this, right? So the way to think of it is everything in the page.tsx or in your routes is basically popped into the children right here. Okay, so this is basically your layout file, so you can do a lot of things like, you know, put your header and all that good stuff. Jimmy Wong Prom, what is up, dude? Good to see you in the house. This is what I'm talking about. Yeah, look at that. The likes are flying in. This is crazy. This is absolutely awesome. So as you can see now, that's where actually the page loads in. So this is where this basically gets injected, right? So what I like to do firstly is just sometimes like make your life easier. I'll put a main tag here and let's just pop in the children there. Oops. There we go. Right, so you got the main like so, and then go to your page and then make this a div. Right, that's sometimes a little bit cleaner. You can do it however you want. There's no set rule there, right? So there you go. Let's build a Google Shopping clone with Oxylabs. So first steps first, I want to go ahead and create the nice header that you guys saw in the beginning. So let's do that because that's the most visually appealing thing. It gets us the most like bang for our buck to get started with it, right? So we're going to build a beautiful looking header. So first thing I want you to do is go into your components, go into your app, go to the package.json level, create a new folder called components. Okay. Now let me go ahead and just get the music up a little bit because I know you guys like some of this, right? Deepak, yo, what's up? Smooth Reflex on goes, oh, yo, what's up, guys? I love you guys. You guys are all saying hi, Sonny, what's up? All right, good to see everyone in here. So we're going to go to the components, and then I'm going to create a new file called header.tsx. And I'm going to use something called a React snippet, so RFCE. And if you're wondering how I do this, I literally say it in every single video because it's so damn cool. We're going to say ES7 in our extensions, and you should actually go ahead and install the ES7 React Redux, this snippet. It's the one with 8 million. Every time I literally make a video, it's like another million people downloaded it, right? So let's go ahead and do this. And then you can do RFCE, boom. And I'm going to get rid of this because we don't need to import React anymore. Now, the header, I'm actually going to make it a client-side component. So a quick little lesson. Every single page.tsx or anything, every single component inside the app folder, by default, even in the components folder, by default is actually known as something called a server component. This means that it's rendered on the server. So essentially it's going to be rendered beforehand on the server, prepared so that way it speeds things up. And then it's actually just the HTML, CSS is dunked onto the client, okay? But sometimes we need interactivity. And in this case, the header, I want it to be interactive. So I'm going to make the interactive I'm going to make the header interactive, and the way we do this is we convert it to a client component. Okay, so the client component is going to be we basically put the directive use client. Okay, so that makes it a client component. We're going to change this to a header tag nicely, and then we're going to go ahead and get things set up. Okay, so first things first, I want a Google logo on the top left. Okay, so on the top left, I'm going to go ahead and pop in a image. I'm going to use a Next.js image. So this is the image tag. And then I've got the source, which is going to refer to, I've made your life easy. Don't worry, guys. I've shortened a URL. This is going to be the Google URL. And then the oat tag is going to be the logo. And then this is going to be the width and height. Now, any pictures that you end up using, all that good stuff. Remember, we have no affiliation with Google. This is entirely an educational video. Yeah, just have to do that these days. Right, so we've got the source, out, width, height, and then I'm going to import it. So go into your image tag, control spacebar to go ahead and do autocomplete. There you go, boom, hit save. And there we go. So nice. Someone says, hey Sonny, I just completed a bootcamp and at a stage where I need to make more projects. Your clone tutorial is awesome. I love learning new stuff. If you've created a bootcamp or you want to go ahead and get more mentorship, then definitely check out something like Zero to Full Stack Hero. Honestly, this is perfect if you're in the beginner stage, or if you're past the bootcamp and you want to have that continuous coaching, mentorship, and that kind of stuff. Check it out, papareactor.com/course. You won't regret it. You just won't regret it. I'm telling you. Right, so we got the image tag right now, and then what I want you to do is put in a class name, and I'm going to do object contain. This keeps the aspect ratio regardless of the width and height, because sometimes if you don't have object contain, it can skew it. Okay, now if you're wondering how I'm getting these auto completes, it's because I actually have the Tailwind extension installed. Okay, so you may not have this installed, in which case you're not going to see what I'm seeing. So you need to install the Tailwind CSS IntelliSense extension. Okay, so go ahead, do that, and I'm going to also give this a margin right of 10, so that way when we set up, we can do this. Okay, so that's all good. Good. Now we're going to go ahead and see if that did anything or if it just broke everything else. All right, so where's my code? So boom, here we are. So if I refresh, you'll get an error. Right, so let's go ahead and save. Oh, that's because we're not pulling in. So go to your page. In fact, actually, we're going to put in the layout. So at the top of the layout, I want it in every single page. So that's why I'm putting it in the layout folder. And there you go. And you can use client components in your layout folder, of course, right? So now if we do this, we should get this error. That means you've done something right, trust me, okay? Now, the reason why we might use a image tag is because we want to optimize the images, right? So you can check them out, the documentation for the next image tag, or you can actually check out a video I dropped on the channel. If you're watching a replay, it'll be somewhere around the video. Jay, you need to plug that. And then, yeah, we're basically going to go ahead and show you how to do it. So the first thing you need to do is actually whitelist the host name of the image that you're pulling from. The reason why you need to do this, if you don't whitelist it, think about it, your app can get easily abused, because every single, like, let's imagine you allow users to add images and it was an image tag, it's going to use so much computation power to just, if someone was spamming images into your app, so you have to basically say this domain is fine to go ahead and whitelist images. So in this case, I go ahead and do images. In our next config, I type in domains and I whitelist the Papa React domain, right? And then we hit save. Now it does restart the server, but it just doesn't always do it, right? So I'm going to do Control-C to cancel it, npm run dev to go ahead and kickstart it off again. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and close that. Okay, cool. This is good, right? Now we're going to refresh. And what we should see, if we did everything well, is a nice little Google clone at the top of our screen. There we go. Right. We got the Google clone. That's perfect. So that's a start, right? We're almost finished. I'm joking. All right, we're good. We still got a while. So now we're going to go to the next config. We've got the header here, and I want to make this a clickable image, right? So first thing I want to do is, oh, wow. Torrent says, got my first job learning from you. Been a software engineer for 3 years now. Thank you, Jay. Screenshot that. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. I love and appreciate it when people do that. And I'm so glad we can help you out at the Papa Fam, right? To make this a clickable image, we basically surround it in a link tag. So we import it from next link, cut that away, surround the image tag, and then you basically want to go ahead and give it a href. And this is just going to be the route that you're pushing towards. So in this case, /. Okay. What's really cool about this as well is that now it actually supports the statically typed routes, I believe it's called. I can't remember the exact name. Anyway, the point is that if you're using your next link tags, it will actually tell you if you have that route supported yet or not. So if you try and go to a link that doesn't exist, that actually sort of screams at you. So it's pretty cool. It's actually a pretty cool little addition that they're doing in Next.js. Best of best says, what's up, Sunny? We miss you. I'm actually here every single week, right? Nitesh says, how does one begin with development? You go to 0 to Full Stack Hero, or you can use YouTube, right? So honestly, it's both ways. But if you want to accelerate, you know where to go, right? I'm going to try and up the music. This is a bit quiet. What is this? Right, there we go. Right, that's better. All right, so image tag, and then underneath the link, I'm going to go ahead and pop in a div. And this is going to be for the form. Okay, so the form, I'm going to go ahead and pop in a bunch of different stuff. So first thing I'm going to do is actually have, 1 second. I've actually changed this out. Oh, wow. I completely forgot to remove something. I've still got the same thing that I had previously in there. So I need to just double check one thing, and then we can get started off. Okay. All right, so we're actually going to be using the Tremor library to do a lot of the styling today. So I'll show you how we do that. So I want you to go to tremor.so, right? And in this case, you can just go to tremor.so. The React library to build dashboards fast, right? We're not going to be using it for dashboards. We're going to be using it for the beautiful components that it has inside of it. So npm install Tremor React, boom, copy that, go back to your app, Command B to hide that, Command J to pull this up. Slide over another terminal. You can do that, or you can just go ahead and press the plus to have a second terminal full screened. And then you can do npm install Tremor React. Make sure you're in the right directory. I am. Okay. Violence says, hey, Sunny, I love your builds. They're amazing. Also saw your podcast videos uploaded on the channel. And dude, they're really inspiring. Great vid. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, man. All right. That's so cool. Oh, wow. During another job. Look at that, Jay. Oh, I think it's the same guy. But screenshot that. That's so cool. Kushstar says, I owe you my career, dude. Got my first React job only because of your awesome projects. Always stay blessed. Jay, screenshot these. These is so cool. Smash the like button for that. That's absolutely amazing. What? That's so cool. So we've got Tremor installed now. Now, Tremor, there's a little bit of setup you need to do. So go to get started. And we're not going to do this. We just go to Next.js, and that's fine. You go down. You see, we've already done this. But the next step is pretty simple. You just need to go to the Tailwind config and add in this. This is basically going to compile the Tremor module. So go to your Tailwind config. You can either go Command B, or you do Command P and you type in Tailwind and you start typing in. That's a faster way of doing it. We're going to pop it in like so. go back to the documentation, go over here, and then you need to go into the Tailwind config and add in a bunch of things. So in the theme, what I recommend here is you just grab the entire theme object. So take this entire thing down to the ending, and then go to the plugins, because we also need that. So copy that, right? Go back to your code, and the theme that's currently in here we don't really care about, and even the plugin. So go from the plugin to the theme, delete it, and then paste that in, and then hit save. Okay, so that's basically going to pop in the theme, and obviously you can change this out. Right now I'm just using the Tremor theme that they're giving us right from the get-go. So this is basically something you can easily customize and change it up as you want. Right, then you want to go ahead and run. Now they do use Heroicons. I'm not going to use version 106. I'm going to use the latest. Instead of that, I'm going to go to heroicons.com, and I'm going to go to the documentation. Heroicons is a really great way of popping icons into your app. So you're going to go to Heroicons, and then you want to pop in npm install Heroicons React. Oops. Okay, there we go. And this is going to install it into our project. So Command J, second terminal, boom, install it like so. And now we have it set up. Okay, so now we can use Tremor inside of our app. That's good. Cool. Next up, what the hell just happened? Oh my God. Brycey with $50 Australian donation. He goes, Sonny, I love you, brother. I'm a college student and you really helped me learn how to code. You the man, bro. What the hell? Thank you so much, man. That's crazy. I appreciate the hell out of you guys. The support today is nuts. What? This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. And we're almost at 300 likes. Keep smashing that like button. Let's get this video to 1,000. That's how we do it. That's absolutely nuts. Oh my God. Right. So from this div, right, this is going to be, okay, so I'm trying to think how we're going to arrange this out. So this is going to be where we have all of the different, okay, so firstly we'll start off with the form. This will be our form, and this form will basically be responsible for all of the input basically. So at the top, remember we had where you can basically search all that good stuff. We're gonna have this be that form point. So I'm gonna have everything that we have in here. That's fine. And I wanna have inside of the form a div. Okay, so inside the form I wanna have div, and then another div, and then I'm gonna have a magnifying glass icon. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pop this in. I'll show you how to import this. All right, so magnifying glass icon, and this magnifying glass icon is going to be imported from the Heroicons library. Okay, so we're importing it from the solid variant. You can also get the outline variant, but I want the solid. Right, so we're going to go ahead and pop this in. Boom, we have the magnifying glass icon. Now at this point you should just test it, see if you're actually getting a magnifying glass. If you get that, good. Okay, don't freak out if you don't. Just take your time. Okay, so in this case that's fine, and then we're going to have a input as well next to it. So I'm going to have input like so. Okay, now for this input I'm going to have a placeholder. Okay, the placeholder is going to be search ... and we're also going to be using the form data itself, so we have to give this a name for this field. We're going to call this one search term. That's great. And then also going to style this up a little bit, saying that they shouldn't have an outline when you click on it, and it should take up the majority of the space that it's in. Now I've given it flex 1, but the parent isn't flex yet, so we're going to go to the div, and I basically want to style this together. So if we look at it originally, how it looks right now, you see how they're stacked up. Right, so we've got the search thing here, but we've also got this on top. Now the reason why this is because by default things are block, which means they stack up and use the full width. Instead, we want to change this container to become a flex container, and naturally you'll see this will go into a row. Okay, and then I'm actually going to make life a little bit easier and pop this over here. There we go. Okay, and then what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and say items should be centrally aligned, so that way they center on each other. You see how it just slightly moved there? We're going to give it a space between each other of 2, so you'll see the magnifying glass pushed away. Background of white, you can't tell right now, but that is a background. If we do it red, for example, I'll show you, it will become blazing red. Right, we want it to become a white background, and then we're going to go ahead and say shadow extra large, round the corners off because that's the way Google does it. Border of 0, and then padding X of 6, padding Y of 4. Hit save, and then wait for it. So look at that already. What? Already crazy, right? It looks so much better already. All right. And then when I get to a big screen, you see how it's just huge, right? I don't want that to happen on a big screen. I basically want to give that a max width constraint. Once it gets to, on a mobile view, I want it to be like, you know, max width. But on a big screen, I don't want that to happen. Okay. So what you do is you use something called breakpoints in Tailwind. Someone says it's better to use Gap when you're flexing. You can use Gap. Gap is not supported on all the browsers though, so that's something to know, right? I just want to, you know, it's supported in most of the browsers that I use anyway, but because I do use Gap. In fact, we're going to be using Gap today. You can use Gap. It's actually better for grid as well to use Gap, right? But in this case, keep it there, right? I'm trying to be supportive of every browser, right? So everything here is mobile first. So this is all designed for the mobile view. And then what you do is you add in breakpoints to say on a medium screen and above, I want to implement, for example, a max width of 5XL. You can see that gives a max width of 64 rem. So if I hit save now, you'll see that we have a max width pops in only on the medium screen. So you'll see that full width on a medium screen and above, boom, max width. Okay. So this is something to remember. Now, what I want to do is I also want to go ahead and flex this because I want this to take up the full width of its parent container. In this case, we've got this one here, and this one I'm going to center it out. So this is going to be a flex. Firstly, I just want to show you the purpose of why we're going to do this, because over here we're going to have a search button component. Okay, so we're going to have a flex button, and this is going to be items centrally aligned with a gap of 2. Right, so I'm doing a bit of both. Width full, padding X of 4, and flex 1. And again, the form itself will have some styling around it as well. Right. Again, actually, no, we don't need flex 1 here. And that's fine. Right. So at this point, boom, that looks a bit better. Right. That looks okay for now. That'll do. And you can see that if I was to fill that box up, it takes up the majority of that room, that input field. So that's fine for now. Okay, so next thing, the surrounding div up a level from the form, I want to give that a max width constraint. So I want to say items should be centrally aligned. Actually, no, we don't need that. Right, we're going to say width full by a mobile view. And I want to say on a medium screen, it should be max width of 2XL. Right, so now we should see a further constraint. So that's better. That's a lot cleaner, actually. That's what I wanted. Right, so it should never actually grow past that. In fact, you could even, you know, question this one if you want to keep that or not. Right, because at this point, to be honest, this won't actually come into play. So yeah, you see that doesn't come into play because our parent surrounding. I must change that afterwards. Right, so at this point now we're going to create the search button. So search button is going to be a separate component, and the reason for this is because I want to show you something called a transition state. So we've got the search button here, and I'm going to go ahead and create a component for the search button.tsx. Boom, RFC that to make the component. Go up over here. And then inside of our search button, I'm going to simply, very simply, just make this a button. It's also going to be a client component. So in this case, we're going to have a use client. Yeah. Okay. And then this is simply going to say searching. Okay. So search or search, right? So for now. And then back over here, import the button like so. Okay. So I've imported it at the top. And now you can see we've got our search. So let's start this out so it looks a little bit nicer than what it is right now. So I'll show you how we do this. We say class name, BG blue 500. And when we hover over it, I want it to be slightly darker background. And following these same sort of rules, you know, we're going to go ahead and achieve the same design by adding in disabled states as well. So I'm going to pop in my styles here. The text white, font bold, all that good stuff. And then I'm also adding a disabled state. So when it's disabled, opacity should be 50%. Disabled will also have a cursor not allowed, and I'll show you how we do that. Okay, so that's already looking a bit clean, right? So that looks kind of cool, right? So now what I want to do is use something called a pending state. So as you see inside of our header, we have a form, right? So a form right here. Now this form, I basically, when I'm submitting it, I want this to change to a pending state. Okay, so this will change to a pending state. So I'm going to go ahead and say const. I'm going to destructure pending, and then I'm going to use the use form status, right? And this is actually experimental, right? So I'm going to use the use form status. So I'm going to go ahead and actually save ourselves by aliasing this, right? Oops, no. Renaming it as use form status, but this is an experimental feature. And what this will do is it will give me the pending state. So when we submit the form, there's going to be a little bit of a delay, and then you can you'll see this will be, we can render the UI basically if it's pending or not. So I can basically say pending it's going to say searching, right? So pending, we'll go ahead and say searching. Okay. Otherwise, if it's not pending, I want to go ahead and show a magnifying glass icon next to it. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this in at the top right here. So magnifying glass icon, and I want this to be something like this. So get rid of that. Boom. So let's see for ourselves now. Refresh. And why are we freaking out here? Use form status is not a function. It is a function. What is happening? Let's do React on. We will be pushing this into the Papa GitHub repo. Yes, for sure. Right. In fact, okay, so I'm using client. What the hell's going on? So let me just make sure. Oh, thank you, Jayesh Singh. Lovely donation. He goes, I'm a proud software developer engineer. Today, you inspire millions of people like me to build self-confidence from crazy tech and builds. I'm forever a fan and part of the fam. Hashtag Papa fam. I love that. Thank you so much for that comment and donation, Jayesh Singh. That's what we're about, man. What? That is awesome. In this case, I just want to go ahead and npm run dev. Right, so not implemented. I'm not curious. Oh, actually, maybe this is from the experimental. Oh, okay. I know what I did. All right. So I'm going to show you something. It kind of overarches into. All right. So this is kind of overarching into the territory of server actions. So I started building this with server actions. Then I changed my mind a little bit into it. The reason why we've got this experimental right here is because I'll show you how to get that anyway, right? And we can use it. I'll show you the way I would do it, and I'll create another video on how you can actually get server actions implemented, right? So go to next config, and at the time that you're building this could be out of experimental right now, but go to experimental, and we're going to enable server actions, right? So server actions, true. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and then restart your server. That's why we're not getting it. Yeah. So there we go, boom, and it should say you have enabled experimental features, server actions, boom. All right, now if we refresh, we should, I believe, have that. All right, so let's go here. Yeah, there you go. That's the reason why we didn't have it before. So this is actually part of the server actions thing. Who wants to screenshot that, Jay? I love that. I'm gonna make a t-shirt with just screenshot that, Jay. That's the thing. Right, they use form status, and this is going to be pretty handy. So when we submit the form, it will go ahead and actually have something there, right? So, and that's the reason why I'm going to be using the action here as well. So you can go ahead, watch my server actions video afterwards, and then add to this and refactor it if you want, all right? So this is good for now. I'm happy with that. That's kind of, that's fine for now. So go back to the header, and then we're going to go ahead and finish off the header. So get things done in there, right? So inside of our header, we've got the search button down. Now I'm gonna I need to have the ability to submit this form, but inside of it, I need to go ahead and have a bunch of different things, like also the ability to select number of pages, sort from high to low, minimum price, maximum price, and so forth, right? I didn't demo that in the beginning, but we are gonna allow that feature as well. So first thing I need to do is outside of that div, right? So outside of this div, and still inside the form, it's very important that it's inside the form, I'm going to start using something called a search select field. Okay, so I need to import a bunch of things from Tremor. So let's go ahead and pop it in. I'm going to pop in a bunch of things from Tremor. I don't like this song. I'm going to get rid of that. Right, let's go down, and then underneath just above the form, I'm going to say I want to have a div. And inside that div, I'm going to say search select, right? And this search select is going to wrap something called a search select item. Okay, now in this case, I just want to have 100 pages. I want to have you should have the ability to say I want to select from page 0 from 1 to 99. That's my developer brain kicking in, right? So there's a little trick here. If you want to render out a search from 0 to 100 or something, or sorry, a list from 0 to 100. I'll show you firstly what we're going to be using. It's this one right here, just to give you some context. This is the one that I'm doing, search select, right? So here, so you can actually type in as well. But in order to implement this from 0 to 100, we can do something like this. We can say, put a JSX for the brackets, do a array, and then do ... And then we can say array. So basically what I'm doing is I'm spreading a array. So I'm spreading an array of 100, and then I'm saying dot, right? So I'm map through my array, oh no, outside the array, sorry. Map through the array. And then what we typically do here is I don't really care about that number, right? So a little syntax that we typically have is underscore for a value we don't really care about, right? So that's basically just each item. You can call it item itself, and I is the index, right? So with that bit, we're now going to basically pop out a search select item, and it's going to have the key and the value and so forth, right? So in this case, why is it erroring? And I'll show you why. Because it's saying type element is missing, blah, 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 right? So the reason being is we haven't set this up correctly at all, right? So the way we do this is we need to go to the key. The key is fine as a number, but the value needs to be a string. So this one, we're actually going to go ahead, and I don't want to start from 0. I want to start from 1. So I'm going to say I plus 1 to string. Okay. And then for here, I'm going to say this one is actually going to be something pages, and again it's going to be I plus 1 to string, like so, right? And then what we need to do is close out our brackets. Why is this freaking out? There we go. Right, so now what we're doing is we're mapping through an array. Do you just recommend the university path or just learn online? Learn online, guys. Honestly, learn online. You got my free content, you got all this free content, and you got 0 to full stack hero at papareact.com. So our course will teach you everything. Right, so you got the search select items. So now let's go back to our app, and you can see, look at that, boom, I have 100 different pages, right? So that looks pretty cool. And I'm gonna just style this out a little bit, and I'm gonna give it a class name and a placeholder inside of this. So I'm gonna say class name and placeholder, and now if I was to refresh, you should see number of pages, and yeah, that looks a bit cleaner. And then I'm also gonna have an on value change, but we'll assign that afterwards, okay? So the next step is for this, I'm going to go ahead and actually have, yeah, so that's our first filter basically done, number of pages, right? Now I'm going to repeat this process, but for a few different things. I'm going to repeat it now for the sorting, then for the min price and max price, right? So for the sorting, I'm basically going to firstly have a constant at the top, and this is going to be called sort by map. So this is just going to be an object like so. It's an object with key value pairs, and these keys are basically corresponding to the if we basically pass in the following, we pass in sort by R into Google in the URL, that will sort by the default value. If we sort by RV, that will sort by review. By P will be by price, PD will be, so basically these are query params that we're eventually going to be using. So we're going to grab that, we're going to go down here, and we're going to use that to map through the same thing, right? So we're going to go ahead and have, firstly have a select field. This one's not going to be a search select, as I don't want to be able to type in. And then I'm going to have object.entries, right? So object.entries, and then sort by map through all the key value pairs. And then basically we're going to go ahead and pop in the select items. Let's go ahead and pop these in like so. Yeah, hit save. And now you can see we've got, wait for it, we've got the select here, and you can see, look, default, by review, by price, and by low to high and high to low. And when you click it, it's going to be assigned the key, right? So you see that value? The value is assigned the key. So basically when I click the text will be this one, and then the value itself will be there. It can be a little bit confusing the way I just worded that, but because we're swapping it here, but yeah, you get the point. Okay, so that way we've got that done. Now I'm going to style that a little bit. So the AC gets me a little bit bunged up. I don't know if you can hear that. So a quick little water break actually. Make sure you smash the like button if you're enjoying this. Somebody else, I done the university path and graduated with computer. It's mostly theory. You still need to self-teach yourself universal practical project. Exactly, 100%. And that's honestly, you need constant growth. That's why we have the 0 to Full Stack Hero course. You need constant mentorship. You need to always be learning. I'm still learning to this day. All right. So everyone who says, just a university route, it's not the only way. And even then,
it was the best investment
ever.
I was you've given me.
Oops, I can hear one of our members, and it's because of this video. There we go. All right, so let's exit that. Boom. Okay. So we got the select statement. Let's carry on. Someone goes, I like your hairstyle. Thank you. So we've got the select statement done. You guys are loving the music, I can tell. There we go. And then the next one is pretty simple. We're going to have a search select for the next two. And these are going to be for different values. So I've actually just hard coded this one in, and I will show you what I'm actually popping in. So I'm going to pop the first set of values in, and I'll explain it. So this right here basically gives a value of, empty value 100, 250, 500, 750, 900, or 1,000 plus. Right, and this is going to be like for the dollars amounts, right? So the minimum amounts. And here we're basically going to go ahead and say if I is equal to 0, so if it's the first value, then it should say no minimum. Otherwise, it would show a $ with the first, basically the value to string, right? With the $ in front of it. Okay. And then I want to give this a placeholder and basically say min price and so forth. So fairly straightforward. I'll show you how it works. So if we go back to our app, min price, and you can see that no minimum, 150, 9,000, 1,000, blah, 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 right? So you can obviously set these up the way you want, have as many different values you want, even put this in a constant elsewhere, outside, all that good stuff. It's completely up to you, right? I'm going to do the final thing, the exact same thing, but for a max now, okay? So I'll do the same thing for a search select over here. So we'll say search select, boom, like so, pop this in, and I'll do the same little trick that we just did, pop that in as well. These values are going to be the same, but in this case, the placeholder will simply say max price, right? And it will say no max, right, or maximum amount, because we're going to keep it consistent, right? So that's got the no maximum in, and in this case, no maximum and up to a certain amount. So that way we've got our 4 different things, right? And as you can see, that looks a bit ugly right now. So we're going to make use of grid to get that looking pretty good. And then we're going to create pieces of state and track what the user has typed in. And then we're going to basically, do our extra stuff after that. So with that said, the final step actually after, which we haven't done yet, is we need to have an avatar, right? So I'm going to use a little package outside. So just outside, just to sort of, before I forget this bit, I'm gonna have another div, and this will have an avatar of the user, right? So right now it's a dummy, it's just, a little avatar. In fact, we're gonna make this super easy. I'm using something called React Avatar. You can simply install it by going to your ZSH or your server, sorry, and typing in npm install React Avatar. You import it into your project. So go to the top of your project, boom, pop it in. Command J to hide the terminal, go back down. And basically this avatar is kind of cool because you can just say it's a round avatar of certain size. And in this case, if I just gave it Sunny Sanga, it will come up with like an SS. So you'll see in a second now, that SS, right? So it's kind of cool. And you can also use things like Facebook links and all this good stuff. So if I let Facebook ID, Google ID, and all this other stuff, Skype ID, and it will basically pull your picture in. So that avatar is kind of cool, right? Something to definitely look at. Okay, so and AWS and Azure. I have used Azure. I've worked with Microsoft on a video that is literally on the YouTube channel, so definitely check that out, Giancarlo. But I also think AWS, I will be making more content very soon. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Now on a small screen, I want to hide it. So hidden on mobile view by default. On a large screen, I want to show it, and I want it to use up the maximum space that it has because I want to push this to the end of the screen. Okay, so in this case, right now on the small screen, it's not there, but you can see it's pushed all the way over there when it is there, right? So let's get this looking good because this looks like crap right now, right? So first things first, this is by default dark mode because I'm actually using dark mode in my system settings. To override that, what you got to do is you go to your Tailwind config, right? So because I don't want it to just naturally think I want dark mode right now, and you simply add in dark mode class, and this basically means that you will define when you want to add in dark mode. So in this case, if I do this, you'll see that this will toggle and it will change now to light mode, right? So that's what was happening. My drop down has a massive icon. I'm not sure what you did wrong there, to be honest. Try refresh because sometimes it can just be a little bug in the system, yeah. But let's go back to my header, and I want to go ahead and make this UI look a lot nicer. So at the top of the header, we're going to give this a bunch of styling. So firstly, we're going to say it's a flex box, and by default it's flex column. So nothing will really change here, the UI, because naturally it's still in a column view. Okay. But what I want to do is I want to center everything on a mobile view. So I want to say item center, right? So in this case, you should see things like the Google pop into the center. It looks a bit cleaner, right? Next thing you know, when we're on a medium screen, I want to change to a row, right? So I want things to be spread out in a row, and I want it also to be items aligned at the start on medium screen. Medium screen should also have a space between the x-axes of 6, and then I want to give it a bunch of styling in a second. So let's go ahead and do that. And on the medium screen now, you can see it goes into a row. So notice how that goes into a row. So these two children become into a row as opposed to a column, right? And you see how that's pushed over there. So we're already getting the kind of design that we want. We need to give it a padding X of 2, padding Y of 10, padding on the bottom of 6. This was me being so lazy, honestly. You could have just done padding top 10, padding bottom 5. Okay, all right. And then on the bigger screen, I want to do padding all around of 10, and I'm going to change only the bottom value to a 5. There we go. Hit save. Boom. And now you can see that we have a little bit more breathing room around it, right? And over here, that looks a lot more cleaner. Now the only thing is this looks like crap. All right, so let's get that done. So I want to go ahead and make that form actually spaced out so that way we can actually breathe, right? So before we have our search select, everything happens here, right? In the first search select. So let's go up to here. Oh, thank you so much, Iman. He goes, videos up to 4 hours, teaching others on the university. So much hard work, which means you're really doing this to make an impact. Honestly, I am. I really just want to help as many people as possible on this planet become developers. And also, boom, we hit over 300 likes. That's what I'm talking about. Keep smashing that like button if you enjoy this video. Jello, thank you so much. He dropped 5 donation PLN. I'm not sure what currency, but thank you so much. All right, super chat from Jello. That's awesome, man. All right, so on the class name, I'm going to go ahead and say that this is a grid by default. We're going to have a grid columns of 2. So by default on a mobile view, I want to change this to 2 columns. Do you see that? So now we've got 2 columns. I want to give it a gap of 2. So you'll see that everything spaces out a little bit more. That's nicer. Right, I want to give it a padding of 4. So that way it's got some breathing room behind it. That looks a lot better. On a medium screen, I want to actually change it to a grid columns 4. That means that on a medium screen, they'll all be in line, okay? I want to give it a max width of large. And on a medium screen, I want to give it a max width of none. Max width of none. All right, so in this case, it will be constrained here to a max width. There you go. MX auto to center it. So now you'll see that it's off to the left. If as soon as I add MX auto, it centers it. And I want to center everything on the vertical axis. Okay, pretty cool. And now you'll see, look, oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, mention me, Sunny Verschmitz, or whatever how you say it. There you go. All right, so in this case, look at that, clean, right? So that's looking great. Hello world, right? And if I hit enter, you see it just goes ahead and it sends me over to search time hello world, which I didn't even do, I don't think. All right, so in this case, that's fine. We've got our little things. Now we need to track what the user selects. So how do I keep this in a piece of state, right? Very easy, actually. We just use state, right? So I'll show you how we do this. So go up to the top. We need to prepare 4 pieces of state. So the way we do that is we say const. Let's do our first one by saying the pages, set pages, and we say equals use state. Now, if you do get confused at any point about, use state, any of that good stuff with React, we have the entire React Basics 101 course inside of Zero to Full Stack Hero. Be sure to check it out. We also have the use state tutorial on YouTube for free, so you can actually go ahead and feel free to check that out as well. Yeah. Let's go ahead and set this up. Yes, we got this, pages. Now to connect this up, I'll show you how we do it, and then we'll run through the rest very quickly afterwards. So heading down to where we select our pages, where we have this, we have on value change. This gives us a value and an arrow function. So it's basically a callback function. And what I want to do is I want to get that value and I want to set the pages to that value. Simple as that. Now, when the user selects the page, for example, if I click on this and I click on 4 pages, that's stored inside of state. So now I can refer to this pages variable to get that value, right? So it's pretty much as simple as that, right? That's how you connect it. So I'm going to do that the same thing for 3 more pieces of state. Let's go ahead and do that right now. Boom. We've got sort by, min price, max price, and then we've got a set of functions here. Let's go ahead and connect it to the rest of the things. So in this case, we've got our select over here. Our select, we're going to have on value change. And it's going to be set sort by. There we go. And then on our search select, we're going to have on value change, set min price. And our search select here, we're going to have on value change, set max price. Now, if you're wondering, how did he do that? How he didn't even type anything? That's GitHub Copilot, okay? Quick little water break before we carry on. Absolutely crushing it today. The energy is awesome, guys. All right, let's go carry on strong. So we've got that looking pretty good. Now we've got everything stored in the state. So the next thing that I naturally want to do is basically all I want to do now is when I type in and I hit enter, I want to go ahead and combine these, these values, or basically if you added any of these, and I want to send the user to a proper URL. So that way we can go ahead and do the next step, which is a search page. Right? So let's do that right now. So first things first, I need the router because I'm going to be redirecting the user somewhere else afterwards. So let's go ahead and get our router. And the router will allow us to send the user elsewhere because we're using a client-side component. So that way we can use the use router. And now inside of our form, let's go down here. Next router was not mounted. What? Go to next. Okay, so don't do this. Don't do what I just did. Use router should be imported from next navigation. Easy mistake to make. Okay. It can happen with the auto imports. So that's probably going to happen to a lot of you. So don't mess up there. Right. So next thing you want you to do is inside the form. So typically we do like on submit or on click, but right now we're doing a kind of mix. This is what you would be doing if you did server actions, but I didn't go the whole way in this build with server actions. I made a separate video for server actions that will be coming out this week. So enjoy that, use this afterwards, but I'm going to show you how you do it with the actions here. So I've got the form data that is actually submitted when the, you submit that form. Now, when we do this, the reason why I'm using action here as well is because if you remember inside of the search button, we actually had something that was listening to the state of the form. This is connected to this action property, right? So that way, when you do it, when you submit, it knows what to do. Okay. So someone says, hello, Papa, I'm just joined in. Please, does Oxylabs scrape Reddit? Yes, it does. Yeah, you can use it to scrape Reddit. Yeah? So firstly, we need to get a bunch of terms, or we need to get the data from here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the data from the form data, right? So here I'm going to say const search term equals form data dot get search term. And you're probably wondering, where is that? Well, remember the input field here? It's got it right there. So that's how we get it. Okay, that's good. And then I basically want to have some defensive coding. So if you haven't entered any search term, I want to stop everything. I don't want you to submit or do anything at that point. Okay. Now, next step, I want to say if you have the pages, right? So if you've set a page in the state, then I'm doing, you typically would have to do this, but if it's a one-liner code, you can just do it straight off the bat. Then I'm going to say params. Now, before we do this, I need to actually have a string of params. Now, this is going to be for our URL that we send the user off to. So we're going to call this URL search params. So I'm going to say if pages params.set, and then I'm basically going to say pages, and then I pass in pages.toString, and I'll show you exactly what this does in a second. Okay. So eventually, basically, this will build out a URL, something like this. So imagine if we redirect the user to /search, it will be something like this. It'll be pages equals like 10. For example, right? That's what we're essentially, if the pages exist, create that, add that to you. And this part right here is the URL search params. So we're basically doing conditional rendering of that, right? So I'm basically going to do the same thing to the sort by and min price, and min and max price. Okay. And this is what is going to be inside of the URL. Okay. So I'm not using camel casing inside the URL. I'm just using underscore casing. Okay. And then after that, I've got my URL. So then what I can do is I can say router.push. I want to push the user to /search/, and in fact, I want to use a string interpolation. So I'm going to change these to backticks, and I'm going to do our little nested interpolation here. And we'll say search term. And then we're basically going to do question mark params, JSX, where is it? Params to string. And don't let it do that. Yep, there we go. Right. Now what this will do is it will send the user to that URL, and I'll show you right now in a second what's going to happen after that. So if we do that, I will show you what happens. So if I go ahead and type in something like hello world, and I want to do, for example, 2 pages, sort by high to low, minimum price 100, maximum price 1,000, search. Oh, firstly, look at that. Oh, it done it, right? It searched. And then you see what it sent me to. It sent me to a search. I'm going to copy this and enlarge it so you guys can see. Right. So firstly, you see how the nice little rendering happened, but you see what it did there. I typed in hello world. So it basically passed that through to hello world. Then it basically constructed this based on what I had selected. So pages to sort by PD, which is priced, descending, min price 100, max price 1,000. Nice, cool, yeah. So at this point, someone says, can I show my package.json file? Yes, there you go. That's my package.json file, in case you're looking at versioning, that kind of thing. All right. So at that point, now this works. Now the reason why it didn't work, like send us anywhere, is because we don't have that page built. But if I type in, for example, MacBook, and I only did like, for example, by price, now you'll see it just has MacBook sort by PD. So it's kind of good, right? Because now we can go ahead and actually create that endpoint and then have all the logic to start the fetching from Oxylabs, which is the actual cool part, right? That we're gonna get to. So that's pretty cool. That's that part done, right? Header's done, right? So see, it wasn't as hard as we thought. Right. Next up, let's go to page.tsx. Now this is the home page. We don't really care about this for now. For now, I don't really care. I just want to kind of make that like we can do something cool with that afterwards. In fact, I want to do the search term next, right? So we send the user to /search. So the way it works in Next.js is you have your app, and this is your /. This is your home sort of directory. So this resembles your root. So page.tsx resembles your root. Now, if I want to have a /search, I basically say search to resemble the /search, and then I have a page.tsx inside of here. And now this will be support a /search, but I don't want the user to actually go to the search URL. I want them to go to a something like this, a /, oops, okay, why can't I? Yeah, /search, and then I want a wildcard. So this could be something like, it could be MacBook, it could be iPad, it could be 0 to full stack hero. All right, whatever you want to go ahead and join, you can go ahead and do it, right? But in this case, we need something called a wildcard. So I basically create another folder with square brackets, and we basically pop in the term. That is basically that's like the syntax to say that that is a wildcard. It can be any value. And then I do page.tsx, okay? So RFCE, and then we've got this. And then I'm going to go ahead and start building out this page. Now this page is a server component, so we're not going to convert this to a anything else. So in this case, I'm going to change this to a search page, right? And then welcome to the search results page. Now let's go ahead and check if it works. So if we type in MacBook Pro, you'll see inside of the URL, it'll take me to, see, firstly it says searching, which is kind of cool, right? So it'll basically figure it out. And then you see it says search MacBook Pro, and it says welcome to the search results page, right? And notice how when I click on this, I'm linked around, right? So this is what's cool about this. The header is not re-rendering. You see how it's just routing me? So it's only streaming in the page element itself, which is awesome, right? So that's pretty cool. But let's do something nicer now. So the search page will eventually render out something called the results list. Okay. And this results list will basically be all of the different results on the page, right? But instead, what we actually first need to do is take whatever we have here. So notice how we have the MacBook Pro, we have the sort by R, right? Now you're probably wondering, but he didn't select sort by. Well, actually inside the header, what the hell is that? That's a fly. But if you're really wondering, I actually set the default sort by value to R, right? So you can actually do that yourself. That way I'm always basically saying use the default value if nothing is selected. Right, so in this point, we are freaked me out so bad. That flower mark. So in this case, we've got the page.tsx at the term. We're almost at 400 likes as well, guys. So let's go. Awesome stuff, guys. Right, so for this, I'm going to go ahead and actually get the params. So now what I want to do is we have / MacBook Pro. So how do I get this, and how do I get the search params like sort by, min price, all of that stuff, right? Well, it's actually super straightforward and easy. What we do is, firstly, I'm going to create some type definitions. We get the props. It comes through as props. Okay, so we say search params, and I'm going to create a search params type definition. So in a second, but for now, I'll just do any, and then we have params, and the term is inside of there. Okay, and the term is called term because term is there, right? So here we get props. Now I want to show you something. As this is rendered on the server, this will come up on our server logs. So if I was to console log the props, and we go to our server logs, can you see how, look, the params term comes in, and then we've got the search params, right? So this is how it comes through. So this is a good little lesson for everyone, right? So we're going to go ahead and pass this in the prop type definition, and then I'm going to destructure the search params and the params themselves, right? And I'm going to do a double destructure. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to get the term out as well. So we got the search params and term. Okay. Now, the first thing I want to do is, if there is no term, I want to redirect the user to the home screen, right? Redirect the user to the home screen. And you see how we get that from Next navigation. So you can do redirects on server components. That's completely fine. So now if there is no, well, why is props not defined? Where have I done props? I haven't done that. Yep, that's fine. So now if I go ahead and, try to go to /search, it will say 404 not found. Well, actually, that's because we'll never be able to get that out. That's fine anyway. Yeah. So anyway, the point is I'm protecting ourselves there. Now, next step is I want to basically do a fetch call here to fetch from our API. We haven't created this API yet. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and fetch from our API. And this API call, we'll go ahead and we'll build that out. And that's going to be the part which is going to go ahead and scrape from Oxylabs. Okay. So let's go ahead and build out our API call. So what we're actually going to build is an API call on our side that will go ahead and connect to the Oxylabs API over here. And this will allow us to scrape information from Google. Okay, so I'm actually going to go to, I'm going to show you how we can create an API endpoint. So you can actually use the new route.ts file to actually create an API endpoint anywhere. But it really depends on if you need the post request, if you need the get request. Otherwise, if I do a get request here, it's just going to come up as the main thing, which we don't want to do. So the way that we can do this is I'm going to keep life simple and create an API folder. You don't have to actually create an API folder anymore, but I'm just going to do it explicitly to show you. So I'm going to create an API folder. And inside my API folder, I'm going to have a search. And again, this is the same routing structure. So this will just be /API/search. And then inside of here, we're using the new route.ts file, right? Route, whatever it is, right? And then we can go ahead and pop in like so, right? So you can have your new route, and you can, for those of you wondering, actually put this next to this. If you're just using a post request, right? You can actually do that. Obviously your route would change. It wouldn't be API/search. It would just be search term, but you can, if you really wanted to, you can do that, right? We're going to import a few things that we might need, like so. And I'm also going to have a typings definition file because I want to have a few typings of my own. So typings definition file, one of which is the search params, right? So search params, we're going to go ahead and pop in. Now inside of my, where was it? Inside of my page, the search params themselves, remember we had it here initially. So I'm just going to change this to search params and import that from our typings file. So now we've got type protection. Okay. And if you look at this, it's saying that all of these things might be there except sort by. Sort by will be there because I set a default value on it. All right. Now inside of our post request, we're basically going to go ahead and handle this. So I need to do the following. I'm going to go ahead and pull the body of the request. So the way it works is on this page, when I type in MacBook Pro, hit submit, and I go ahead and go to a certain thing. When this page loads up, I have access to the MacBook Pro and I have access to all the search params. When I do, I'm going to make a fetch request, a post fetch request, and I'm going to send this information in the post body, which means that I need to go ahead and get the post body data outside. The way you get the body of the post inside of Next.js 13 APIs in the new route.ts syntax is you go ahead and do the following. You get the search term, you get the pages, and you get the rest of the params, and you await it from your request.json, right? So this will give me the information that I need on this side. Now the search params, we're going to go ahead and actually sort of, pass this like so, right? So I'm basically saying So all of the rest of the params that come through are going to be the search params. And you could even include pages. Now I'm just making life a little bit easier here when I do this, right? So what's next? I'm going to say if there was no search term, if there was no search term, fly is not having it today, right? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say return next response, and I basically return a 400 saying you're missing the search term. So this is basically building out an API. So you can see here. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Anurag. You completed the Slack clone. Nice. Right. So next response, we're basically saying the next call would be that you would return a 400 saying missing search term. Okay. And now that's basically protecting our API endpoint route. So after that, we can say const filters, right? So filters. Now what I'm going to do here is just for the beginning, just going to say is a type of any. So it's just an array. We can handle this afterwards, but I'm going to have an array of filters, and we're basically going to go ahead and handle this accordingly. So I'll show you what we're going to do, and then it'll make a bit more sense. So all of the search params that come through, so remember the sort by, the min price, all that kind of stuff. Someone says, bro, the music is lit. Thank you. Right. So all of that good stuff, we're going to go and say object dot entries. And then inside of here, I'm going to go through my search params, and for every single key value pair, I want to handle it accordingly. Okay. So let's do some magic in it. So firstly, I want to say if there is a value, and if that key, is either max price or it's min price, then what I'm going to do is say, I'm going to do a little check, and I basically want to see that if the value is over 1000 plus, so this is weakly typed checking, I guess, right? Because we're doing a string check, but I'm basically saying that if any of the max price or min price was over 1000, then it should simply just not add that filter, because that filter doesn't really need to be there if you've said that it has no minimum or no maximum, right? Well, in this case, the minimum, I guess it would be, right? So minimum 1000 should be there. Right, but in this case, no. If you don't set a minimum here, then there will be no minimum. So either if it's no minimum or 1000, it's actually the same, right? So we're saying that it should be, well, it's not really 1000 plus. Okay, so maybe we don't do that. Okay, we could actually say this instead. We can say if it's this, else, if the min price. Okay, we don't need to worry about it, right? That's completely fine for now. In fact, what I would do is for the minimum price, we can actually change this logic a little bit to make it a little bit better. I just realized something. So in the header, I want you to go over to where you have your min and just change it to 1000 minimum, because that should be a fixed value, not a plus. That makes a bit more sense. Okay. And then if it's max price 1000 plus, you just don't need to include it because there's no max after that point, right? So filters.push. Okay. So after that, this will basically stop it from being added if it's 1000. And then we say filters.push, and I basically want to push in the key value pair. So I'm pushing the key itself, and that's basically just, shorthand for this. And then the value, I'm going to go ahead and push in. So if the key is sort by, then I'm going to pop in the value. Otherwise, I will go ahead and actually pass the number, right? Reason being is, like, for example, if I passed in, if one of the filters was sort by, that's fine. We should give the value and add that to the filter list. If it's a price, I need to convert a string to a number. So that's why I'm doing it here, right? So that's actually just going to loop through, and that's basically preparing all my filters. Right, so now I've got literally a list of filters, which allows me to do it all. Okay, so now we do the fun part. We actually send a request over to Oxylabs. So what I need you to do now is go ahead. The first link in the description gives you a free trial to Oxylabs. So your boys hooked you up. You get a free trial. You can go ahead and test out your services. Then what you can do is head over to the dashboard. And inside the dashboard here, okay, let me log back in. So So inside the dashboard, you'll get access to all of the things that you're going to need. Now, what I need you to do is you're either going to get you're going to get access to it either inside of your email, so you'll get your username and password sent over to you, or you'll actually get access to it over here. So I'll show you where you can find it. So it'll either be in your email, and you can see it's also got this really nice dashboard to see all your usage and that good stuff. And you can see on the left, we've got my products. Now I want you to go over to the e-commerce scraper API and go to users, and you'll see in my situation, my username is ecom papa react, right? And here you can also change your password. So if you couldn't find your password, you can actually change it there, get another password, okay? Now take note of this because we're going to need to set this up accordingly. So what I'm going to want you to do is go to we need to create an environment file. So let's go ahead and create an environment file right now. So I'm going to go ahead into my code right here. And at the bottom, I'm going to say .env.local. And here I'll say Oxylabs. This is such a vibe, this song. This is called The Rooftop by Gregory David. So nice, right? The username. And this one is going to be ecom papa react. Now the next one I'm going to say is Oxylabs password, and the password you can get in two ways. Like I mentioned, I'm going to go back. Like I mentioned, your password, you can either go ahead, change your password, get that, or you can get your password from your email that they send out to you, right? So typically it gets sent out. I got mine sent out to me. The minute you sign up, it'll go ahead and get sent out to you. Whoa, that's awesome. Juan Ilias says, thank you, Sonny, for helping me get my first job as a full stack developer. That's so great. Jay, screenshot all of these. It's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Almost at 400 likes. Congratulations, Juan, as well, right? So I've actually got my password here. So I'm going to go ahead and paste in my password, and I'm going to close the file. Okay, so I'm pasted in my password, I've saved the file, and then I've closed it. So now I have my environment variables configured, and we can go ahead and resume what we were doing. So heading back over to route.ts, we can go ahead and see, we head outside of this. I'm going to do a fetch call. So we're going to do const response equals await fetch. Okay, now here what I'm going to do is basically make a query to the Oxylabs database, right? So what I'm actually going to do to help us out a little bit is, give me 1 second. I'm just going to go ahead and make life a little bit easier so I can demo this a bit more, right? So if you go over to documentation, you will see that down here you have your example of how you do these queries. So you can see for yourself, they actually make it so easy for you, right? You've got the body of the request, the fetch request itself. In fact, this is exactly the one that we want. And you can see it's a post request. We stringify the body, and the body includes a bunch of things. And then you basically pass in your username and password. And the way it is, it's using something called basic authentication. The way you do basic authentication is you set the authorization header value to basic, and then you basically have a space, and then you create a buffer from your username and password, and you base64 encode it. Okay, so it sounds all crazy, but it's really not, right? Don't worry about it. It's actually not that hard to do. Okay, so in this case, we do a fetch. We basically pop it in there. We set the method to post. We set the headers. So let's go ahead and do that right now. The headers, and then we say the content type is application JSON, and then we set the authorization header. So let's do that right now. So we say authorization, and then what I want you to do here is I'm going to do backticks. I type in basic space, and then I'm going to do a little bit of interpolation. So I'll say buffer from. There's a few ways you can do this. I'm going to use a buffer, right? Buffer from, and then I'm going to say process dot environment, and then I'm going to say Oxylabs username, environment Oxylabs username, and then I'm going to say plus, right? And then we have a little colon, and then Oxylabs password. So oops, sorry, get rid of that. Yep, pop that round. There you go. So it'll be buffer from process Oxylabs username colon Oxylabs password. Okay. And then after the buffer, we're going to say to string, and then you basically specify that you want it to be a base64 encoded string. Okay, so this line right here. So take your time with that, and you'll get that bit. It's no problem, right? You get that right. Now The next thing is you can handle your caching. So obviously we're using Next.js, so you can actually do caching, all that good stuff. Now for this demonstration, I'm going to actually cover caching in Next.js in a separate video. But for this demonstration, to avoid you accidentally caching things and then getting super confused as to why it's not loading, I'm going to save you a little bit of grief and just make sure that it's never caching, right? By basically setting a value of no cache, right? Or no store. So in this case, we'll do no store. You can do either, right? No store, no cache. There is a difference, but I'm not going to go into it, right? I'll create a separate video on all of this. But this means that it's basically going to server-side render every time a response comes in. It's not going to use a cache to fetch value, right? So in this case, next up, I'm going to do the body as a request. Now I'm going to stringify a body, and this is going to have all the contents inside of it. So you can see over here, we had the Google shopping product and all that good stuff. I'm going to firstly go to the shopping search because we're not on the shopping product yet. And then you can see we've got the shopping product, domain, com, we've got the query, which is a search term, pages, and then you've got the context being the key value pairs. Okay, so I want to do the exact same thing. And in fact, I'm just going to pop it in like so, and I'll show you how we do it. Okay, so we've got the source, we've got the domain, search term, which is coming through from our body of the request. We've got the number of pages, and if that doesn't exist, it will default to 1. So that's basically saying or 1. And then you pass it true. And this is very important, this pass true. Pass true means that basically once Oxylabs has scraped the data, we can basically, they do an awesome job here of returning structured data. So here, where is it? Pass. Yeah, we'll return pass data. This basically allows Oxylabs do the hard work, right? They actually go ahead, scrape it really fast. Firstly, it's bloody fast. And secondly, it will actually go ahead and format all that data. So you don't just get raw HTML, it's going to format all the data and then return it to you in a really nice JSON view. So that way you can go ahead and do whatever you need to do. Baha, what is up? I see OG in the house. Good to see you, man. All right, so in this case, we got the context looking great. Next up, I'm going to hit save. And now we've got the response, right? So after this response, I'm going to go ahead and pass that. So const data equals await response. And then I'm going to go ahead and get the page results, right? So in this case, let me just go ahead and get the page results. So I'm going to say that we're going to basically have our page results, page result, like so, equals data dot results. Right? So this data has a results object that comes back, and we need to create this type definition. Now, this part, I'm going to show you what actually comes back, and then I'll show you how we go ahead and create those type definitions, right? So firstly, the last step here would have been to do next response .json. I'm going to return back the page results as the part of the JSON body, right? So let's go ahead and show you firstly what comes back here. So console log data, like so. Now, if I go onto the page, we should actually trigger this off if we do it correctly. So before I go ahead and create these type definitions, I want to basically hit this endpoint, hit this route, so we can actually test it, see what's coming back, and then we can do something with it. And I'll show you how we'll do that now. Right, we can do that. Okay, so basically I'll explain it. So when we get this back from Oxylabs, basically what comes back from here, you'll get output example here. So this is, okay, we can just look at this. So this is exactly what's going to come back. So they give you a perfect example of what's going to come back, right? An example. So you have your filters, your content, and then you go down and you see it gets quite long, right? You got quite a lot of different results that come back. In fact, the really important one that I want you to pay attention to is the organic. The organic includes all of the different items. You see like the price, the actual item title, the price itself, the currency, the merchant, if it's got a link to click away from, all that good stuff, and the product ID. All of this stuff comes back from the database, right? So what I need you to do now is actually go ahead and follow what I'm doing. So go to typings.ts, and I've actually done the hard work for you here. So I haven't included every single type definition here, but I've done enough to get you past the way you need to get to, right? So we need to do page result. There we go, right? So the page result that came back, this is how it looks. We've got the content, created that, updated that page, URL, job ID, status code, and parser type. The content itself is quite a big object that comes back. That looks something like this, and I basically introspected it. So I looked at the response and I created type definitions from it to save you a bit of time. So the content you can see is this data type. Then we've got the string, number, and a results array. And this results array, I'm going to go ahead and show you how it comes back. So we've got paid results, and now the paid results, I'm not going to be using that. So I've just set it to any array right now. You can really like kind of look at what comes back from it, build out your own type definitions. That's fine. Oh, we got Sahib singing us. What's up, dude? Good to see you, man. And we got the filters. Now, filter and organic, those two are we're going to create type definitions for, and then you've got your search information. Okay, so filter is fairly straightforward. This is just going to be key value pairs, like so, name and value, right? And value is a type that we're going to create ourselves, right? So you can do this like so. Angelo says, Sonny, you're the best channel for web development. I'm doing every build you've done so far, and I've learned more from you than other courses. Dude, I love that. Thank you so much. Screenshot that, Jay. That is amazing. Thank you, Angelo. I appreciate you, dude. That's so awesome to hear, man. And you can see here we've got the organic data type definition as well. So I'm going to go ahead and create that. So I've already, like I said, I console logged it, I checked it all out, and I'm basically built these type definitions for you. Okay, so that's pretty perfect at the moment. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do this. I told Jay this would be a quick build. I don't think it will be. All right, so in this case, we've got the page result. I'm going to import it from our typings. Great. So now we have our post request done. So this is our post request, looks pretty great, and we can go ahead and get this done. So what I want to do now is head over to our search page, and we can do the fetch call, right? And then we can actually see if we get anything back, right? So let's go to our page.tsx, and I'm going to do the fetch call. So here, first things first, I want to do const response equals await. And we've got a top level await, so we need to do an async. And we can only do this because we're in a server component. If you convert it to a client component, you cannot do a top level await like this, right? So in this case, we do await and we do fetch. And then basically I'm going to have a function which helps us get the URL. So I'm actually going to create a helper function called get fetch URL, because when you're doing server component stuff, sometimes you can make very silly mistakes like I've done in the past. So I'm going to go ahead and create a lib folder. And inside of here, I'm going to call this get fetch url.ts. And this is just going to be a helper function. And the whole point of this is basically, it's a function which basically takes a route and it just checks. If you're in the production environment, it will use the Vercel URI. Now, when you deploy to Vercel, this will just be the URL that you deployed to. So automatically it pulls that from Vercel deployments, right? Otherwise, it will be a local host. And then it's /root. So this is just like a shorthand to basically prevent you from writing this out every time, right? So we basically built our little helper function. We'll say get fetch URL, and then I pass in the API search, right? So here I'll say pass in API /search. It's API /search because of this API /search. Okay, and then we basically need to pass in the second argument, which is the body, right? So this is a post request, and then the body, we're going to stringify some information. Now, firstly, I'm going to send in the following. So I'm going to send in the search term, which is the term that comes in here. So we basically destructure that here. And then I'm also going to spread out the props search param. So I've actually sort of saved us the hassle here. I can just do search params. Right, so this will be all your filters like the min, max, all that good stuff, right? Nice. Hey, Sunny, love you from Israel. What's up, dude? Good to see you in the house. And then that will basically do the full round trip. So now we've created an API endpoint. We've gone ahead, and when we land on this page, we make a call to our own API endpoint. That API endpoint connects to Oxylabs, does all the scraping, comes back, and then now we're going to go ahead and pass that JSON. So we're going to say const data equals await response.json, and then I'm going to log it out. So firstly, I want to show you that that actually comes back, okay? And what you can actually do here is you can get this as your data. So I'm going to say as page result array, and then I can import this like this, and this means that the data is actually our page result. So in fact, I'm going to rename our data to results. So basically get the response to JSON and basically assume that it's this as page result, right? And I'm confident in that because I've checked it out before, okay? So now I can console log the results, and let's see what happens, guys. So this is the moment of truth, right? So if I was to show you on this screen how it works. So let's type in iPhone Pro Max, and let's just do 3 pages, sort by high to low, min price 100, max price 250, right? And then I'm going to go open this up and I'm going to do Command K to hide this all. Now, if I search, we will hit a page. So you see this will take us to, oh, sorry, I just ruined it, right? So iPhone Pro Max, now I hit search, right? There we go. Hit search, searching. And now you will see it found the following. So look at this, guys. I remember I console logged the response, and this is a server component. Well, if we actually have a look at this, you can see that this is the entire response. Look at this. This is the content, the page results. And if we look inside of it, look, page results, and inside they've got the results, and these are all the individual items that are actually showing out. So this will return, I think I did, what did I do? I did 3 pages of results. So you can see the first page of results, scroll down, second page of results, third page of results. It scraped Google. That I can't tell you how far that scraped Google that fast. Right, Oxylabs is fast at scraping. And then we got the status code of 200. And it has the job ID and all that kind of stuff if you want to debug on Oxylabs side, right? So our post request works. That's great. Now we basically pass the results and term into a new object called results list, which we haven't created yet. I'm going to pass in the results and I'm going to pass in the term. And then we're going to go ahead and render it out on the screen, right? So, what's it called? No, so Sama says if you put /API search, you can't actually do that trick when you're using server components. It needs a absolute, you can't use relative URLs when you're using server components. You can't actually do that little trick, right? So I know what you're talking about, but that doesn't work unless, because when you're in a client component, you're relative to your browser, so it already knows the base URL. But when you're in a server component, you need to give it the full URL. Right, there's a way of doing it beyond that as well, but yeah, you can't do that little trick. So results list, let's go over here, components. I'm going to create a new component called results list.ts. Oh, TSX, sorry. .tsx. There we go, boom. And we're going to close this out, RFCE, boom. Okay, guys, we're almost at 400 likes. Smash that like button if you're enjoying this video right now. It helps this video reach a lot more people, and that's what we want, right? So now the next step is results. So let's go ahead and show this out, results list. So firstly, I've got the props that come in. So we actually defined the props previously. So I'm going to destructure the results and term. We're going to give it the props type definition. We're going to create that type definition here, and we're going to pull in our page result. Cool, right? And then I'm going to have a link inside of this page, which means I need the next link tag. Okay, now we have all of the results and we can safely access them because we have our type definitions, right? So now I've got a div. So I'm actually going to split this into 2 areas. The sidebar, which is the dynamic values, and that's all going to have all the filters on the side, right? So remember I said it fetches all the different filters, and then we're going to have the main body, right? Now, if I show you the actual Google website, so let's go ahead and pop this over here now again, like we had before. If I show you a Google search, you'll notice that if I was to go back to, for example, Google Shopping, right? And I was to type in, for example, like MacBook Pro or something like this. So let's just go ahead and type in MacBook Pro. You'll see that we have the following. So obviously I'm in Dubai, so you see everything in dirhams, but you see all of these filters. It actually scrapes all of this in Oxylabs when we do it, right? So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to create a sidebar, which is going to represent this side. And then we've got the main body, which is this part here. Okay. So let's go ahead and do it. Remember, if you want, when you're signing up to Oxylabs, make sure you do that by hitting the first link in the description. That's how you get the free trial. Okay. So we're going to have a div here. And then we're going to have the results dot map, and I'm going to firstly map through all the different sort of page results. So page result, and then we've also got the index. We don't actually need the index. We can ignore that for now, and we're going to return. Now, here I've got a div, and for every single div, you should be, or whenever you're mapping through, you should have a sort of, you know, page result. So in this case, we could do job ID. In fact, I think job ID is going to be individual for this. I'm not sure. I think it may be. I don't know. Okay. If that's not unique, then worst case, we can use the index, but it will tell us anyway if it's not. Okay. So once we've done that, this will be for each individual page. No, it won't be for the page. It'll be for the page results. Yeah, it will be for the page results. So this will be for each page, right? So remember, when we fetch 3 pages, it scrapes 3 pages of things. So I'm mapping through those pages, and then I will be going ahead and doing the next thing. So we've got a div inside of here, which is that. This is going to have a space y of 2. So everything inside of here will be spaced out. And then I'll have the page result dot. And you see, this is my type definitions that we had earlier. So content dot results dot filters. And filters may be undefined, so we want to carefully access it. Now for every single filter, I want to render out the following. I just want to have a div, right, with a p tag inside, with a filter dot name, right? So in this case, we've got the filter name, and then I'm going to have a link to click that filter, right? So if I show you this actually to put things into context, let's go back to our page. Let's import this and let's go to our actual page right here. So you can see, look at that. Oh, it actually works. Look, iPhone Pro Max. These are all the filter names that get pulled from Google, right? So what I can do now is go into our results list, and underneath the p tag, I actually want to have a clickable link. Okay. So I want to have the filter.values.map. And for every single value under it, so these are actually the headings, if you think of it, right? These are like the headings, show only, and then it'll have options underneath it, like red, blue, yellow for different colors and so forth. So this one, I want it to be a link, okay? And this link will have the value dot, and you see URL and value. So it'll be value here, but the href here would actually be a link to Google itself. So it'll be https://www.google.com. We're going to throw the user over to their actual Google website once they click that filter, right? So value.url, right? So if we do that, now you'll see that we'll have, if we do this, look at this. And obviously, firstly, I did make a mistake here. This div should always have a key, right? So in this case, the filter dot name dot values. Okay, so in this case, I don't really care too much. I'm just gonna make it a bad practice, but it's fine for now, right? So we're gonna do p tag last name filter. So this one I'll do font bold, and then to make this clear for you to see, I'm gonna give this a bit of styling. I'm just gonna say border around the corners out, rounded large. On the medium screen, I want it to be a little bit different, rounded large fully, and then padding of 5, right? So let's go ahead and do that. And yeah, let's see how that looks. So over here now, you can see, look, buy on Google on sale and so forth. Now these are all stacked up next to each other, which doesn't look good, right? I don't like that. In fact, what I want to do instead is, also this is a link tag, so you have to be careful, disable the prefetch. Otherwise that's going to try and prefetch all these pages when they're rendered, right? You really want to be careful with that. Don't do that by default, right? So what we can do to prevent this is put it all in a div, and now they'll stack up in a we can do it a few ways actually. We can do last name flex column, and these will be stacked up as a flex column. There you go, look at that, boom. Right, I want to show you, if I click on, for example, up to $5 to $9, you'll see it actually took me to Google. I done double search, so we don't want to do that. Let's do here value URL. Okay, so let's do, for example, T-Mobile. So you see now it takes me to the actual Google T-Mobile. Look at that. So it's actually real URLs being scraped in that's working. Farzad, what is up, dude? Good to see ya. Oh, Sark, that's awesome, man. He goes, I made a total of 6 full stack applications. Thank you so much for your content. Maybe we can meet in the future. Possibly, dude. I want to meet a lot of our students. So awesome to meet you, man. Right, so that's the results. The filter is actually done, right? So the sidebar is done. And as you can see here, guys, that is basically going to look like it's flush on the mobile view, and on the bigger view, it's a rounded corner. So we're going to style that out afterwards, but firstly, the main body. Now, the surrounding div, let's make this flex, and I'm going to do a margin on the medium screen above, padding X of 5. I don't want it to touch the sides in this case. You should be able to see a little bit of pattern. There we go. So flex makes it, not use up the full space. That's better. And look at that. Yeah, so rounded corners disappear. That's what I wanted. That's better. I do want them on that side. That's all right, actually. Yeah. So rounded, here we are. Yeah, rounded. Sorry. I was wondering, yeah, so still say rounded, but in that case, yeah, perfect. So it only rounds on the sides and that's flat on the end. And then we've got medium screen, it rounds all over. Perfect. Hey, look at that. Yeah, great. Cool. So now we want to go ahead and render out the main results. So the main body. So this is going to be a div. And this div is going to have results. So results.map and every single different page results. Remember, we always get the page result first and then we map through. So page result, I map through. And in here we have a div. This div is going to be the key, and this key is going to be page result dot job ID we can do. And then I want to have this will be Salma. Good catch. Yeah, it was that one rounded. Yeah. So the class name here is going to be grid, and on the I tell you what, we'll style that afterwards actually, because I want to show you the effect that we're doing there. So if we are on the first item, right? So what am I trying to do? Oh yeah, so the first item is actually going to be like the title in this, right? So how can I explain this one? So here we are. Okay, so first item is fine. So basically I'm gonna say if we're on the first loop through, so that basically the page result, the first page, I want to have a horizontal line which spans the entire thing. And then I'm basically going to just pop in a very simple bit of styling here. So I'm going to save us a little bit of time because this one is just purely presentational. So this chunk here I just pasted in. All that's doing is it's saying that it's going to span 2 columns in a grid, span 3 or span 4 based on the different sizes. And it basically takes up shop on Google, search results for the page, and showing results for whatever I typed in. Okay, now that doesn't make sense with the span yet because we haven't given the outer class outer styling. So in fact, let's just do that, right? So let's give the parent a overall styling. Actually, it's not this one, it's this one. Yeah, we're going to say it's a grid. We're going to say grid columns 1. On a medium screen, it's going to be grid columns 2. So as the screen gets bigger, we're basically allowing for more columns to show. And this one will be grid columns 3. And extra large will be grid columns 4. And so forth, right? So grid columns 4 and then a gap of 3 on every column. Okay. Now you'll see, look, search results for page 1, 2, and 3 because I searched for 3 different pages of results. You see that 3 pages of results. So it scraped 3 pages and then it's got the results there. Now I need to populate those results. So underneath that div, we're going to go ahead and map through all the organic results, right? So we're going to say page result dot content, right? Content. Now here, I want to safely access these. So results dot organic. So here, oh, thank you, Fazad. Sunny is in flow state. Here's a coffee on me. I appreciate you, dude. That's awesome. We're almost at 400 likes as well. Let's keep on going, guys. Almost at £50 of chat revenue. That's crazy, man. Thank you so much. We got the organic, right? So here we got organic, and organic is where we have all the items themselves. That's what comes back from the Oxylabs API. Then we map through it, and then I'm gonna have the link tag. So each individual page is basically gonna be a link tag. The href I'm gonna do in a second. The key is gonna be the item position. So item, or in this case, item. We don't care about I. This one's gonna be item. .pos, right? So that's position basically. And then we are going to have the prefetch disabled because we don't want to prefetch all of these pages. Oops. Prefetch disabled. And then I'll sort the href in a second. I actually wanted to show you what actually shows in there. So we're gonna have a div with a p tag, item.title. Yep. And then outside of this, we'll have a div with the 2 p tags. So p times 2, emit, little trick. Nice. And then we're going to say item.price string with the item.currency. So it'll be like, 200 dirhams or $200. And then we'll say item.merchant.name will be underneath it. And we'll style that out in a second. Right, but let's give it the href for now. So the href. Now, the href is an interesting one because some of these scraped URLs actually have a Google Shopping URL, which means that there is a Google Shopping page And some actually have an external URLs, which means that when Google Shopping shows you results, some of those results actually will send you to an external page, and some will send you to a Google Shopping page. For the ones that are basically going to send us off to an external page, I'll make it italic so we know that okay, that's going to send us elsewhere. But I actually want to handle the ones which send us to a Google Shopping page, and we're going to create the Google Shopping page and scrape based off that as well. So all this is honestly massively a tech teaching lesson, right? So you guys can showcase your skills and put this on your portfolio, and that's going to really help you out when you're sort of, have job interviews, that kind of stuff. So if the item URL includes this, so this is basically, I had a look at the URLs that come back. If it includes URL equals, then that means that it basically will send it has an external URL. Okay, so if it has this, then I'm basically going to go ahead and send them to, I'll show you how we do this. I'm going to say send to external URL if that's the case. So basically we're going to say split the URL, get that value that's after this, which is 1, because it will be 0 would be this first part, but split it, get that value, and then basically send them off. Yeah, so it'll be this, and we can safely access this by doing this, right? That's how you optional chain that. Or I'm going to say send to the internal URL. Okay, and in fact what I actually want to do is I want to remove any of the query params. Estonia in the house, what's up, right? In fact here I want to say remove any of the query params and send to a Google Shopping page, right? So the way I do this is I say item split. I basically do question mark and I get the first query param, because basically the way it will be is it'll be something like this. It'll be / shopping, and then it'll be like / and it'll be some random ID, and that is the one that I care about, right? So I'm basically sending the user to that, right? So it'll be Google Shopping, and then it sends them off to that. So that will basically send the user off to that. Oh, look at that. Janae, thank you. He goes, yo, Sonny, nice to see you live again. What is up, dude? Thank you so much. And we got Malaysia in the house. Crazy. The energy today is sick. All right. So in this case, we've got all of this looking good. Item POS. All right. So now we'll just style it out. So the link, the class name link, we're going to go ahead and say, border. I'll say border, rounded to XL, flex column, and I want to do hover, shadow. Oh, I love this song. Shadow, large, transition. So when you hover over, it has this nice little duration of 200. Duration 200, where the shadow comes in, all that kind of stuff. Ease in, ease out is a nice little UI thing. And I'm going to basically have a conditional render here, which says only if it's got a basically external URI, then I want to basically have the it be italic. Okay, so where's my thing? Right, so get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this. Right. If the item URL includes what we used earlier as an identifier, then it will become italic. Okay, so that will help us out a little bit. So let's pop that there for a sec. And let's pop that there to make our code a little bit neater. There we go. And just like that, you can see, look, we've got this. Doesn't look great at the moment, but you can see all the italic ones will send us to another website. So if I click on this one, for example, I get sent off to some Zabi. I mean, right now that doesn't work. But you know, there's Verizon, the Total by Verizon, and so forth. So some of these, obviously, they're getting blocked because I'm coming in on the live stream, localhost or something, right? But the point is that that's where those external URLs are. However, these ones, it's sending me local / shopping / product with the product ID. So that's what I care about, right? So the ones that aren't italic are internal ones. So the non-italics, those we're going to build pages for. Okay. Matt G says flow state is essential. Exactly, man. Honestly, it's huge, right? So here we say border B, padding of 5, and then we say flex 1 because this is a flex container, I believe. Yeah, it is flex container. And this item title, I'm going to go ahead and say is text. And I've got the nice little Google Blue. Google Blue. So this one, I'm going to go ahead and pop in a dynamic color here. So this one here. And then for the the div over here, I'm going to say padding X of 5, padding Y of 2, and not italic, right? Because I've made the entire container italic, right? If it is. So in this case, it will not be italic if it's the right one. And we'll say font light. And this p tag will be text, and it will be that blue that we just had right there. This one here, boom, get rid of that. And I want it to be a font semi-bold. Right, whew. Right, after all of that, you'll see that we have this. That looks a lot cleaner, right? The only thing we're missing is a little bit of padding on the outside. So the padding on the outside, I missed here. Someone says, well, why are you so excited? Honestly, it's practice, guys. That's all it is. So the main body where I had it here, so here, right? So padding X of 5 to space it from the sides. Margin D. So when I get to a larger screen, I want to be padding of 10. PP, no, it should be P of 10. And then on a larger screen, I actually want to remove the padding on the top. Space out all of the things inside. So basically space the children underneath it in the main with a value of 5 and flex 1. Because basically, if I don't do flex 1, I'll show you what happens, right? It's not going to actually use the full width by default, right? So I actually want to force it to use the full width. Even though it looks like it is, it's not, right? So flex 1. Right, so now that is actually perfect. So you see how it changes from column. The only thing was messed up here is this is using up a max. So you see that right there? We need to fix that. But either way, it's getting there. Right, so the filters. So the only thing that screws that up is that container should have maybe a max width. So you can actually go ahead and customize this as much as you want. For that sidebar, oh yeah, so class name on the sidebar, let's set it to a width of 36, and on the medium screen, I'm more forgiving. We can give it a width of 64. Right now, you'll see that boom, it pops it in, and then that will just wrap around. Right, and you can obviously just space it out with space Y if you want, right? But now look at that. So we've got these clickable buttons and we've got data being scripts. Let's try this out again. Let's do MacBook Pro 16-inch. Boom, hit enter, search. So it's searching. Right now we haven't implemented a loading screen with skeleton loaders. We will do that in a second, but look at that, perfect. So we've got our search screen banging. That looks great, right? Now, 400 likes. Let's go, guys. I love it. The energy today is popping. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. If we go down, you also see that when the page 2 results come in. So if I do, for example, 14-inch, number of pages, let's do 2 pages, and I do search. Now you'll see everything is based off of that URL, right? So it's searching. And obviously I want to show a UI update here. So I'll actually fix that in a second. So here, I didn't get anything interesting. Let's have a look. Why didn't I get anything? Maybe I got a little glitch. Just do iPhone 14 Pro Max. Let's do 2 pages. And we have to debug that. Maybe I've cached it actually. That's probably why. Yes, I think it is. I think that's why. Yep, it is why. So I cached the previous result. So if I go down, page 2, there you go. Yeah. So what I want you to do is, the reason why that happened before is because if we go to our page, so with the search term here, right now, this is caching. Yeah, this is caching old values. So basically, if it already found this, if it already made this fetch call, as this is a server component, it will cache that fetch call. Right now, I basically want to make sure that it revalidates that cache every X amount of time. Right, so you can do either, you can even set it your own way, or in this case, we can simply add in this revalidate property. And this says that basically every 5 minutes, it will go ahead and revalidate that page. If you want to be more aggressive, you can say every minute, so every 60 seconds, it will revalidate that page. So that's kind of a handy thing to have. So example, if I was to do another search for this with 2 pages, so imagine I went onto a different one and hit search. Can you see how, boom, it didn't need to load, right? But if I went ahead and did, for example, iPhone 14 Pro Max with 3 pages, right? That we haven't cached yet. So you see that's not cached. So it's caching based on this URL, right? So if I go ahead and search that now, see how there's a delay, right? So it has to find that new page. So it finds it, it makes the fetch request, and then the minute it loads this, it will cache. So wait for it. It'll come back. So that's actually fetched back. So now we've got 3 pages of results. So you'll see the 3rd page is down here. And now if I was to take this URL, go over here, boom, instant, because it's cached. So in 5 minutes, that cache will invalidate, and the next person who fetches it, it will have to refetch. See, like that's the benefit of the caching part of Next.js, right? So hopefully that you learned a lesson there. Now, the only thing I don't like is how we've got this little delay here. So if I type in iPhone Pro, 1 page, for example, max price, let's just say 750, search. You see this? This is horrible, right? The user's sitting here, they're like, I don't see anything. I hate this thing. I don't like this app, right? So you can see also our filter worked. Sometimes you might see this and you'd be like, what the hell? That's not max price. Well, it's actually shipping, right? That's probably why. The shipping cost on top of it that I'm not showing is actually costing it more than that, okay? So it's probably like 750 plus a crazy ridiculous amount of shipping from that company, right? So at this point now, I want to show a skeleton loader. Now you're probably wondering, what is that? Right, a skeleton loader is a very popular little trend that goes around. It was a kind of a good way of showing something on the screen when the user is actually loading. So what we can do is we can utilize the loading pages. So loading.tsx. Now this file structure is part of Next.js 13. So it's something which is not, it's not like I'm making this up. This is completely from Next.js 13. You can look at the documentation yourself if you'd like. But in this case, this is going to be representative of the loading page, right? So what the hell? Loading page, there you go. Right? So in this case, if I just put this in, right? Now what will happen is if I just typed in loading results, because we're in this point, right? If I put a loading at the top, it'll be a global loader. But because I'm putting it here, if any blocking action happens, for a blocking, I mean an async await, for example. So this is a blocking action. This will essentially trigger the loading state. So let's give this a try and show you, right? So if I went to, for example, let's just type in a iPad Pro, enter, boom, loading results. Look at that, guys. So now it shows loading results and then boom, you get the UI. So what you can do now is you can either have spinners, that kind of stuff. But we've seen that in a few of my builds before. I thought, let me show you how actually they do it in the proper way of doing it. So you can use something called a React skeleton loader, right? So React skeleton loader. Now this is a pretty cool library. And the way they show here is basically, they say don't create, entire divs that replace it. Don't make dedicated skeleton screens. But in Next.js, we kind of are creating an entire screen for it. So this is where I will be creating a dedicated screen for it. So I'm kind of going counterintuitive, but it's fine for now. Right, so npm install yarn react skeleton, right, skeleton loader. So in this case, I'm going to go to my ZSH, pop it in like so, install the React loading skeleton. And what this essentially does is you see, look, that is really nice. So if we saw something like that and then it pops in, that's pretty cool. Right, so I'm going to upgrade this loading screen now to make it exactly that. The way we use this skeleton loader is we need to just pop in the two imports, including the CSS, and then we can simply load it, right? So this is a server component, so we're going to have a bunch of cool stuff here. So it's going to be a div, and instead of this, we're simply going to go ahead and have another div inside of it, and then we're going to have the sidebar. So I'm basically replicating the build, the main page. So we have the sidebar and then the main body. Now, I'm not going to spend too long here because I want to show you basically what I've done, right? So I'm basically going to map through an array of 4 different things, and I've given it a set width and height. And you notice how this is the same sort of style as what I gave in the previous page, right? So remember, if we look over into the results list, remember width of 36 and on bigger screen 64. I'm doing the same thing, but I'm looping through only 4 imaginary skeletons, right, with a h1 and a skeleton, and I'm using a similar what's it called, I'm using a very similar style to the previous results list, right? So this is exactly a similar style to the results list. In fact, this one should be a p tag, yeah. And then you do skeleton, and skeleton count will basically have the number of lines that you'll show, and here I'm just randomizing it, so it'll be it could be 2 lines, 5 lines, and so forth. So it gives the user a little bit of dynamic element to it. All right, so in this case, that's cool. And then if I put in the main body, I'm actually going to save us a little bit of hassle here. You can feel free to pause the video and actually look at each individual thing that I've done here. But I want to save us a little bit of time so we can jump into the juicy stuff. So we're basically going to go ahead and do the exact same grid column layout. And you see loading results from Grubble, scraping results from Oxylabs. Again, same exact simple layout here, but I've simplified it a lot. And I've just said show 10 results and have a skeleton loader with a break and have another skeleton loader, right? Yes, JS says we can also conditional render skeleton in the same component. You can, but it doesn't work when you're doing this loading screen separately, right? It won't load in this way unless you create it inside your component and then you have a piece of state which triggers your loading. Right now, because we have a Next.js loading screen dedicated for this, we can't do that, right? But if you have a piece of state which is determining your load, then you can do that, right? So So if anyone who's wondering that, yes, you're right, but you need a piece of state or something to tell you, or tell your component that it's loading. Then you can do that, and it prevents you from duplicating divs. Right? I hope that helps. Yeah, perfect, man. Right, so now we've actually implemented that. So now if we were asked to go ahead and do something like, let's just type in, I'm running out of ideas for things. It's the iPad Air, right? iPad Air. And look at this. Oh, okay, almost there. Look at that. We didn't get the layout right? So it looks a bit dodgy. So it's because of this div, right? So the way we fix this is go to surrounding div, flex, and then on a medium screen, panning X of 5. That's all we needed to do. And so if I do iPad Air, 256 gigabyte, look at that. Aha, nice. So it shows 10, and you see how they're randomly, got the things here. Let's do 512. So that 2, 4, 4. So it gives a little bit of dynamic elements, but that's pretty cool. Now that's a lot more better than sort of, giving the user another screen. So it's instantly going to show the screen, gives them a little bit of loading state. Users are more likely to stay on that screen, right? They're more likely to be like, oh, it's actually loading something, right? It's actually going to show me something, right? So it really kind of changes the entire thing. So if I do 2TB, you see what I mean? Now, like, your user is like, oh, it's just loading. I'll wait. Yeah, but before they would not wait, right? I'm telling you, they're very impatient, right? So now remember, and the caching, this combined with caching. So if I do 1TB now, boom, instant. If I do 2TB, boom, instant. Look at that. Oh, look, instant, right? Because it's under that 5-minute revalidate window. So it's already got a cache value. So if somebody goes there, boom, it will just deliver the entire search term. So this means if loads of people are searching for iPad Air with 1 terabyte, they're just going to get the cache value. And then after 5 minutes, the next user will revalidate the cache, and then everyone else after that will get the same cache value and so forth. So it prevents you from spamming your Oxylabs server, and it prevents you from running through your quotes. It's really cool, right? So it's not like a debounce. No, it's a caching approach, right? So now we need to basically build the page. When I click this, we go through to the shopping product page. So we need to create a shopping /product /wildcard page. Okay, so it's following the same logic as earlier. We're going to do the exact same thing. And now that you're aware of how I do that, it should be a little bit clearer to follow me with this. So at the top level, let's go ahead and expand it. App. We're going to create a new folder called shopping. And then we're going to have another folder inside there called product. I know there's shorthands for this, but I'm just trying to show you individually. All right, then we have the ID, which is a wildcard, and then we have page.tsx. And this will be our shopping page, okay? So this one right here, we're going to go ahead and call this the product page. So this one here, we're going to call this the product page, get rid of this. And yeah, this is going to be a server rendered page, right? So again, the caching rules will apply. So I'm going to go ahead and set our revalidate period here to 300, which is 5 minutes. I'm going to do a bunch of imports to save us a bit of time right now at the top. So we've got our imports like so. Product data we haven't yet set up, so I'll show you when we do that, right? And then this product page will have props. Now remember, the props will include the dynamic ID. So in this case, we're in ID, so we can actually get the props back. And we don't always need all the props. We can actually save ourselves a bit of time. We can go ahead and actually write the type definition file here. And then we've got the props, which are assigned to that. And then I can just save us a bit of hassle and destructure the props like so. We've got the params, and inside we've got the ID, okay? So now I've destructured it. From Nigeria, great vibes, Sunny. I thank you so much, dude. I appreciate you. Almost at 500 likes, right? Give me 1 second. So at this point now, we've got the product page. So we need to basically go ahead and make a fetch call. So I'm going to go ahead and create a API endpoint. So again, remember what we done previously? We're doing the exact same thing, but we're going to go ahead and make a endpoint called API shopping product ID. Right, so now inside of our API, I'm going to create a new route. So in this one, I'm going to click on API, create a folder, and then I'm going to go ahead and say, 1 second, I'm going to create a folder, and inside of here, I'm going to call that shopping. Right, and then we're going to have inside of shopping, it's going to be product and then ID. Right, so shopping. And again, you can actually have it there, but this is a GET request, so you can't have it. If you have route.ts here, it would actually override it, so you don't want to do that, right? So that's why you have to be careful with the GET request with the route.ts. So we have shopping, and then we have product, and then we have ID, and then inside there we have route.ts, right? The reason being is if you land on this page, it technically counts as a GET request. And if you do a GET request in here, you typically have 2 competing GET requests. That makes sense, right? Now, at this point, we're going to make a GET request. Okay. So first things first, we need to go ahead and create our GET request. So boom, like so. And this is how you do a GET request. This is the syntax for route.ts. Okay, so Zhang says, in Next, whenever we fetch an API, do we go through API route first? No, you don't have to anymore with the route.ts. I've just done it in this build to demonstrate something, but you don't have to actually have an API folder. You just have to do route.ts and it can be anywhere. So it's actually like seamlessly integrated in Next.js 13 now, right? So I hope that helps. So at this point with the GET, we've got 2 arguments that come through. We've got the request and we've got the params and the params ID, right? So the GET request actually includes a few more things. So I'm going to go ahead and destructure it right now. So this is actually coming in as a type here. So I don't want to do it. I'm saying let's just call this type params, and let's just pop in the params like so. Yeah, that should help us out a little bit. And okay, what have I done here? There we go. Yeah. And then that would be params. Yes. Okay. Oh my God, my brain just froze. Okay. All right, so we're good. Now we've got the params. So the params come through here. We pull the ID out. We're not actually going to use the request here, but I'm just showing you where it comes through. Now, first things first, I want to check if the ID exists. So same principle as last time. If there is no ID, we're going to do next response. We get that from next server, and we'll say missing product ID with a status of 400. So that way we're protecting our endpoint against that. Next up, we're going to say const response equals await fetch, and now we're going to do a query over to the following. So remember, Oxylabs had that amazing documentation which showed us all the examples for the URL inside the shopping search. Well, we just simply need to go to shopping product now because we're on the product page. Go to Node.js and you can see we've got the exact same example here. So you can use this as your context to see, and then you can actually get your structured output data here, which I've actually saved you time and built out type definitions for. Okay, so await.fetch, we have the queries here. Then I've got the method post, and then I've got the headers. So headers, content type, application JSON. The authorization header is going to be the exact same as what I previously did in the other one, which was authorization. Then we have our buffer. Okay, so remember, basic authentication, we have our username plus password with the colon between, and we base64 encode it. That's how we do authentication here for this, because that's how they accept, right? And then after the headers, we have the cache no store, because I'm just saving you the hassle of accidentally caching something, being a little bit confused and wondering what the hell's going on. Right, so in this case, we're making sure that every API request doesn't use the same value. I would recommend that you do not do this, by the way. I'm just doing this in this demo, so that way you're always getting the latest value. But I will be creating a video on Next.js caching, which will show you the different caching rules and how to use them. And that will help you do this correctly. The reason why I'm doing no store right now is because I want it to basically give you a fresh value every time, right? So then we do body, and then we do JSON stringify. And inside the body, I'm going to go ahead and pass in the following. The source is going to be Google Shopping Basket, domain, query, and pass. So boom, like so. And this comes from, if you see here, look, source, domain, query is going to be the product ID. And we've got that from the actual, here. So you see, there we've got that, which is great. And then we're also going to pass in pass equals true. And that's very important because we want to actually pass in the past. We want it to basically give us structured data back. All right, now that's great. I want to then pass the results. So in this case, I get my results back, and then I want to check if the results are 0. I want to return a no products found, right? Or no product was found with a 404. All right, and if it was all found and everything was okay, then I'm basically going to go ahead and get the first product from the results and give it the product data typing definition. And I'm actually going to go ahead and type that out now. to save you a bit of time. Remember, I showed you where you can get the example response from. They give it to you here, output example. They've got a really nice structured output result. And again, this happens when you do pass true. So I've actually saved you a lot of hassle here, and I've basically built these type definitions for you. The product data looks like this. And again, I've not included everything. I've only included the things that we're basically going to be using, okay? The product content here, I'm going to go ahead and now this one's a bit of a juicy big one, right? So this one I've actually gone ahead and broke down quite a lot, and I'm going to show you the screen, and I'm going to go ahead and basically, yeah, you can pause it at whatever point you want, and the code is going to be in GitHub repo as well. So product content, we have a bunch of different things inside of it. So specifications, reviews, we have the pricing, we have specifications here as well, right? So why have I got 2 specifications? Interesting. Don't think I meant to do that. Yeah, I don't think I meant to do that. Item. Okay. Yeah, one of these I do not need. Section title. Okay, anyway, yeah, get rid of that. So yeah, that's what you need. You can basically save that for yourself, pause the video and get the type definition. And then what we do is we import it like so. And then we're going to return, we're going to return the next response, and we're going to return it in the form of JSON data, right? So we're going to return the product data as the JSON argument. So now we have our GET request set. So let's go back to our page, and this is where we do our fetch to go ahead and pull that information. So the way we do it is we have our helpful handy function. So we firstly do a top level async because we're in a server component. We await fetch, we get the fetch URL, which we've already imported from our helper function. Remember this one? Then we do API shopping product, and this is the wildcard that we're going to be passing in. Once we have that back, we're going to get the product data and pass it as product data, right? So we're going to need to go ahead and import that typings. So remember I told you we'll do it, and we did it, right? So that's good. And then I guess next what we do is we basically go ahead and show if there was no, so for some reason, if it came back with a response, defensive programming statement, we're going to say if there was no product data, content pricing, right? So product data might come back and then it's technically not falsy, right? So in this case, I'm going to check for a specific property. If that does not exist, for example, if the pricing doesn't exist anywhere, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say not found. And this is basically a nice little function from Next Navigation, and this will return the user to a 404 page. Okay. So almost at 500 likes. Let's go, guys. Absolutely nuts. Right. So that will return us to a 404 page, and we will create a 404 page, and I'll show you how you do it afterwards. Right. So that's cool. And now let's actually build this page out. So at the top level for this div, we're going to have a little bit of styling. We're going to say padding of 12, padding on the top of 0. It's a little shorthand rather than right pen, left, top, right, bottom, and all that kind of stuff. And then we've got a H1, and this will be the product data dot content dot title, and this one will be 2XL. So text will be 2XL. Hit save, and I want to show you now an example of this next to it. So let's go to our app and let's refresh. So now it should, if we've done this correctly, is making an API request, the GET request, to our endpoint, and oh, we got an error. Let's see what we did wrong. So this is debugging time. So shopping product, we have our URL. Oh, no, okay. Just need a solid refresh, right? And you can see that it actually fetched it back because we got some data back. So that means it did work, right? I would know if it didn't work because we would get nothing back at that point, right? And what's really cool, by the way, about this is that, say, for example, if you hit your cached page, remember earlier we hit cached page. So for example, if I type in here, look at that. It shows you now if you hit the cache or not. Right, which is really, really nice, right? And in this case, it revalidated because it had been more than 5 minutes. But that's actually so cool that it shows you that now inside of the terminal. And in this case, I went back to the page, and as it had been less than 5 minutes, it hit the page, which is perfect. Right, so it's actually behaving the exact way that we want it. Right, so remember that because it has been under 5 minutes, it didn't have to rebuild it. Right, wicked. Now, the next step is a few little tricks, a few little things like that. So what I'm going to do is I kind of want to go ahead and jump through a bit faster. Kalion says, Don't have much time, but just dropping by a quick like for Sunny. Cheers from Bulgaria, which is Alea. Thank you so much, dude. I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. Right. At this point, I want to have stars, right? So they return something called the property or the reviews, right? So if the reviews exist, so content.reviews, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and return a div, and inside that div I'm basically going to go ahead and render out the stars which it has, and then I'm going to do a function which will basically, or just little calculation which would show me the opposite of what it has. So for example, if it has 4 stars, I'll render out 4 stars, and then I'll render out 1 gray star by doing 5 minus how many stars it has. Okay, and I'll show you that in a sec. Right, so I'm going to render this out right now and I'll explain it to you. So here, what this is doing is this first top half will render the actual stars, and the reason why it does it is because it says we're spreading an array, and we're basically creating an array from product data content reviews rating. Okay, so this is a number that comes back, right? So what I'm doing is I'm creating a blank array and I'm mapping through it. So that's a little trick. So we've got a number, for example, 5 here. So I create an array from 5 and I map through it 5 times, yeah, to create 5 yellow stars. Now, if this was 4 star, you would see 4. And then what I've done is I've done the inverse. So I basically created an array from 5 minus the ratings. So basically, if it was 4 star, then it would be 5 minus 4, and you would have 1 gray star. And that way you always get 5 stars, or you'll get like 3 stars with 2 gray if it's a 3-star product, and so forth. Because I always want to show 5 stars, but I only want to color in the ones which are actually present. So if you got a rating of 3, then it will do it, and so forth. And I've rounded up to the nearest value. Okay, so that's how we do that. And then we've got individual sections. So now we're going to start building out the individual actual page. So something similar to this. So if I was to click on like, for example, a shopping page, let me go ahead and just go into this page. Does it show me the shopping page here, or is it? Oh no, it's taking me to the actual pages. Will it? Has it not going to take me to the shopping page? Okay, so it's actually taking me to the shopping pages. That's fine. That's okay. What we can do for now is I can showcase it to you here as we just built it. Right. So I'm going to create a section, and this section is going to be responsible for a bunch of different things. Right. So we're going to have a few different sections. The first one is going to have, you're going to have to bear with me on this one because it can get a little bit nested, right? So this section, we've got a div inside of it. Inside of this div, I've got another div inside of it. And here I've got an image tag. And the image tag here, I'm doing an image tag because it can be a dynamic value from that we're pulling in, which means I don't trust it, right? So we've got product data dot content. Jayesh says, seeing him live is a different vibe to enjoy. That's awesome, man. Content dot images, and I'm going to get the first image, right? So full size 0. This is all from the database, right? From the response. So I'm going to show an image there. Cool. And you can see, look, an iPad pops up. Hey, nice, right? Let's go ahead and style that out a little bit. So class name, class name. And this one is going to have a row span. So in fact, before we dive any further, I just want to start styling out the top half. So we're going to say flex gap of 4. This div is going to be a on the medium screen padding of 10, on the medium screen padding left of 0, because I don't want padding otherwise. And then we say MX auto to center it. And on the section, this is going to be flex column. And it's going to have, just realizing something, I changed something. All right, flex column, and then we'll say on the large screen, flex row, margin top of 5, and on the medium screen, we're gonna get rid of our margin top. Okay, so here, image. This image tag, height of 80, width of 80, and I'm gonna round the corners and contain it. Boom, right? So I'm gonna make it a lot more smaller, more manageable to deal with. There we go. That's a little bit nicer. Okay. The next one is I'm gonna create a div, and this is gonna have all the smaller pictures in. Now I haven't got the option to click in, view it. You can feel free to add that yourself. What I'm simply doing instead is I'm gonna go ahead and get the next 2 images here. Okay. So the next 2 images are gonna be showed there. So I want to firstly, before I pop this in, so here I'm going to go to the images, get the second and third image. So slicing 1 and 3 means getting the second and third image. and then we map through them and we show it on the screen. Now I basically work these values out to the sizing, right? So in that case, you should see two smaller images now popping in next to it in just a second, unless this doesn't have images. So if I do MacBook Pro 16 inch, let's find the MacBook Pro, and you can see that it's pretty cool. You can actually use this app, right? And in this case, it's going to load. And right now we haven't got, there we go. Right, so I didn't have an image before. So in this case, it loads up those images. Great. And then here, I'm going to say flex column and justify between. So justify between. And look at that. So right now, you see how it's spaced it out, and then we get this perfect looking sort of section now, right? So that's great for the time being for this div, right? So we're exiting this div. Yep. So that's that part. Next up, I need to have the actual images under it. So I want to have images under it for, like, if it's got, like, you know, a bunch of different ones. And I want it to be a scrollable container as well, right? So this is going to be a div, and then I'm going to map through the rest of the images. So here I'm going to go ahead and basically pop in from the, so it's going to be the first, second, and third are shown here, and then third onwards I'm going to map out underneath. So I basically do that by saying /3, which means from the third onwards, map out these images. So now let's go ahead and show, and you see it maps them here. So these two images, and obviously when you're mapping through images, you should really give it a key. So in this case, image. Oh no, okay. Oh no, well, I guess we're just showing the images there. So alright for now. Alright. So here, class name. This was going to be flexed space x of 6, overflow y of auto, because all I'm doing here is I'm going to set a value. So if it's on a small screen, it goes past, like, you know, if it's got 20 images. Then it will basically just have a scroll bar, and on a medium screen I'm going to give it a width of 30 rem, right? So you should see now that we're going a row. There we go, perfect, right? So that's going to be scrollable if it goes past there. So it will cut off here and then it'll be scrollable. And right now I haven't got any logic where if you click it, it expands. You can add in a gallery or any kind of, like, you know, thing like that. That's completely up to you, right? So after that, right, we're going to go ahead and go outside this div, and then we've got another div, right? So this div is going to be for the product details, all of that stuff, right? So this one is going to have styling of padding 10 of this to space it away a little bit. Then we're going to have a div, and inside that div, I'm going to start by basically, oh my God, yes, the Papa fan anthem's going in, nice, right? So at this point, I'm going to have all of the different details. Now I basically don't want to run through this individually, but I'll show you. But okay, so what we'll do is we'll say inside this div, if you have the product details, right? So obviously I'm just protecting ourselves a little bit, right? Then I'm going to render out a fragment with a bunch of different things, because you can't put siblings next to each other. So I'm going to pop this in. So the product details. So if we go ahead and put this in, you'll see now that product details, and obviously in the section I actually styled it accordingly, so you can see, where is it here, flex column, large flex row, right? So by default it's flex column, and then it goes flex row over here, right? So that's it. And then we've got the H3. So at this point I've just got loads of other data. So I've got the pricing, so I'll pop in the pricing here, and then we've got the rest of it here. So I'm actually going to just pop this in, and you can feel free. Honestly, this bit's not that great or special to look at. So it's just a div with some information in. I'm saying if the pricing exists, basically show, you know, if there's more pricing options, show that there's plus more pricing options, show the price breakdown, and show the details, which is the description. Okay. And just like that, we have this here, which is not the description, but it's like the delivery options. Okay. So that basically gives us that, which is good. Now for the next step, which was, we've got our surrounding div. I'm getting buried in divs here, and I'm getting lost. So after this one, I need to have, right, so yeah, I'm gonna have a horizontal row, and I'm gonna have this is gonna have styling on the margin y at 5, So there will be a line. Yep, there we go. So it'll be a nice little line. And I'm going to have a product, a p tag with the description. And this is going to be the entire thing. So there you go. And now we'll have a longer description so that the thermal architecture MacBook Pro has been completely redesigned. That's it. Yeah, there we go. And that in itself will push it to make up use all that room. Now you can actually just force it to use that room by giving that div a flex 1 here. So flex 1. And now if I got rid of this, notice how it should just use up the entire space. Yeah, there you go. So that's what you wanted to ideally do in the beginning. So you set that to flex 1, and then that way it makes sure that it always uses that space accordingly. And then it doesn't just rely on the description. And now, boom, we have that. That looks good. Description is great. And then I've got the highlights. Now the product highlights, they may or may not exist and be there. So if they do exist, then I will show them on the screen. And the way I've done that is simple. I've simply got a conditional saying if they exist, then pop in this div. I've got h3 tag with a horizontal row to separate like a line. And then I've got an unordered list, and I map through all the individual highlights if they exist. So optional chaining to protect ourselves. And then it pops out the highlights. And then to style it, I've just done list disk, and this will basically show each individual point as a little dot. So you'll see now in a second that will re-render in. So if I go ahead and save that in, refresh maybe, unless they haven't got any highlights here, maybe. So maybe this one doesn't have any highlights. Yeah. So let's do something like iPhone 14 Pro. And look how nice this is, right? You can actually use the app now. And then let's do iPhone 28. Okay, that's not a good one. Let's do this one. Product details. Look, product highlights. So remember, if it exists, then it will show the product highlights. Right, so that's how I've done it. Yeah, so that looks great. And then after that, the next section, I want to have another section. Yeah, so section. And then here I'll have a horizontal line. Oops. And this horizontal will be margin Y of 10. Schmitz says, bro, it's so cool. Thank you, man. Here we'll have the review. So underneath all of this, I will have the review. And the reason why I done a section is to basically, because I don't want this to, I want the review bit to be under this entire block here. I don't want it to be a part of this logic where it's like, you know, the flex row and all that. That's what we've already done that in that section. The next one should sit underneath it. So that's why I've separated it into section. And then we're just going to simply say, if there is a reviews, then I will go ahead and show it. Otherwise, don't show reviews, right? So I'll show you how we do this now, and I'll pop it in and then we can break it down. So I'm going to go ahead and push it in here and explain it. So I've just popped it in here, and all we've done is we basically said, if there are reviews, then have a React fragment. So that React fragment goes from here to here. And we have a H3 tag, simple, just saying reviews with some information. H4 will say top review with some styling. And then we get the top review and we basically present it accordingly like this, right? So the top review will have the P tag, which is the review author says, and then the H5 is the review title, right? And then we have the div itself. And all I've done here is I've passed in, remember that star rating? I basically said like the same logic for there. So if it's a 5-star review, it will basically create an array of 5, and then we'll map through, so it'll be 5 stars. And then we've got a P tag with quotes with the text inside of it. And if there is no review, or if there is no top review, right, then what I will do is I will go ahead and just say no reviews yet. Okay, so let's hit save and let's see for ourselves what we get. Look at that, there is a review, so we see it. Boom, nice. And this one says, maybe skip this one, right? So maybe, I mean, some people gave it 5 stars. The top review in this case, top review, remember, doesn't always necessarily mean the best one. It means just whatever was featured by Google on that page. So whatever Google's algorithm was, that's what it was featured on that page. So let's do MacBook Pro, 16-inch, for example. And let's just click on like this one, for example. And then you see like review, great if you need Intel MacBook Pro. So you see it's actually pulling in correctly like so. And in this case, you got the tax, 2 more prices, free delivery, this and product highlights, right? So looking pretty good, right? And then underneath that section, we will have the specifications. Now specifications are going to be for the product data. So in this case, I'll do product data. If there's specification, remember, I'm doing a lot of this conditionally. So I'm saying if this exists, then do this. So in this case, I'll say if this exists, then I want to render out a section. And this section will basically have a horizontal row with the title saying specifications, boom. So like so. So in this case, does this one have it? Let's see if it has it. Yep, it has specifications. And then specifications, I basically map through. And the whole point here is I'm trying to demonstrate, someone says I would add images in the search results. So it depends on what comes back from your scraper, right? So if you want to add that in and it isn't supported by a scraper, just you have to look into the Oxylabs documentation and actually scrape for the images as well. Okay, so here what you can do is afterwards you can render out through these specifications. And the whole point that I'm trying to make here is that whenever we handle dynamic data, you can handle it in this fashion where if there's something exists, you know, I go through and I basically, it's a lot about handling the data type, right? So in this case, there's a specifications array possibly. So if there's a specifications array, possibly map through the entire thing and then basically position it out. So that way it's conditionally rendering this entire item based on if it's there. So in this case, look, standing screen, 16 inches, max screen resolution, processor, RAM, hard drive, and so forth. So if there are specifications, it will show in this nice little view here. All right, so you can feel free, pause it, copy that bit, right? So the whole point is, you see my point, there wasn't no real benefit to me showing you type that out, right? So in this case, we've got that, and this will actually just stack up accordingly. So if I go ahead and do iPhone Pro, and you can see, let's just load it up again and see whatever the result is from Google. And obviously you can sort it. So if I do high to low, search, now it will search. And then this will basically go ahead and do high to low. So we should see high products. There you go. As to a high price product here. Click on this. And then it should scrape the shopping page result. And then you can see like 1-star buyer beware with pre-owned phones. All right, so in this case, this is from eBay. I assume from what I saw, yeah, it was from eBay. So you can see it's a bit of a dodgy one. And then you got West Coast Dealer Shop, Simply Electronics. So maybe this is a better one. Let's just click that for a second. Have a look. You can see even our filtering logic works really nice. Look at that, really cool, right? And this, if it has more specifications, it comes up accordingly, right? That's the way I styled it out. Cool. So I guess the next step that we haven't done is two things. One, we need to do the loading, the skeleton loader for this page, and then we need to do the home page, which is this one, right? So two things, and then we're pretty much golden to deploy, and also a not found page. So what happens if I go to the, for example, 999, right? So if I go to this page, or that might actually exist. So if I make up some page, if I go to product / something here, so that it gets a 404 page cannot be found, and it looks all weird and stuff, right? So in this case, I'm going to create a not found page, custom one. So what I do is I go to the shopping product ID, and here, right? Firstly, I need a water break. I haven't had one in so long. Francis says, how do you make the page render the artifact lines while it was loading? That was a very nice feature. Francis, you have perfect timing. We're about to do that right now. So that's a skeleton loader. They actually recommend you don't create a skeleton, an entire page for it, but because we're doing a loading.tsx file approach, that's why we're doing an entire page for it. But yeah, ideally you would want it based on a piece of state inside that component, and then you would conditionally render the H1 or the skeleton loader. So that's how you would kind of do it. So if you want to do a 404 for this route, we just simply do not found.tsx. It's as simple as that. You do RFCE, and then you change this to not found. And now, I kid you not, this is literally it. So now if I go to example, some gibberish product that does not exist, you will now see that they will say, it'll take us to that not found. Right, so this is literally how you do custom 404s. In this case, I've just made a little very simple page. You can feel free to customize this one yourself. I've gone ahead and says, whoops, it looks like the product cannot be found. And now if we go to this page, refresh, whoops, it looks like the product cannot be found. Right, so feel free to mess around with that yourself, go as far as you want, but that's just how you do not found pages. Okay, so next step, let's do the skeleton loader for this page. So here I'm going to do loading.tsx, boom, RFCE, like so. We're doing amazing for the pace right now as well. All right, so we go here, loading, so loading page. Now for the loading page, this one's pretty more simple, I'd say. So again, I've just replicated a build, like a page here. So first things first, it's a server component. So I'm gonna pull in the dependency and the skeleton. Pratik says you're amazing. I appreciate you, dude. Thank you so much. So for this div, I'm gonna go ahead and have a padding of 5, and on the larger screens, a padding of 12. So hit save. Right now, just hit loading, just so you get rid of this error. So okay, it's fine. Yeah. When you're doing this hot reloading thing, you'll sometimes come into errors. So just refresh and then see if you still get an error, right? That's the main. You need to sometimes do that because you're forcing a lot of hot reloads, right? So first things first, I'm gonna just put in 2 skeleton loaders, and then I'm gonna go ahead and have a div, and I've basically already done the hard work for you. I basically drew it out with the skeleton loaders, roughly how it will look, and I've basically came to this, right? So this is, again, I know that the documentation for React skeleton loader says that you should conditionally render it as part of the component, but because we're using loading.tsx files, this is why I'm essentially drawing a lookalike myself. But ideally, if you have a piece of state, or you can make your component, you know, conditionally render a skeleton loader, I would recommend you do it that way, right? But it's just, I know it says that, but I'm doing it this way, right? So this will look something like this, okay? So I've saved you a bit of hassle, set the width and heights and so forth. All right, so you can feel free to copy this and do it yourself. But if I show you this value right now, let's try this out. So we're gonna go to, for example, iPhone. Give me a product, guys. I need a different product, right? Let me do something which is totally different. Let's do sunglasses, right? So sunglasses, and then we search, and then let's see what comes back. So we've got blue tinted glasses, blah blah. Right, so Prada, this one, sunglasses heart. Click it, and look at that. Oh, look, it's loading now. And wait for it. Boom! Hey, that is sick. Look at that, clean. Sent me the used one. Oh no, it's Myra. It's not very happy. All right, and someone says Jay says Yeezys, so we can say Yeezy now. And you see, look, searching. Look, it's nice. All these little features actually improve the UI of the app, show that something's happening. So you've got, for example, these are some cheap Yeezys. These must be fake. So now you've got, like, for example, if I was to click on something like this, and now you see it's loading the page out and then it pops in, right? So you can see this is pretty cool, right? I knew it, I was gonna say, right? So this is something that I was saying, and you can see like it just works out of the box now. So everything works really nice. And again, let's try and stress test this app. So MacBook Pro, someone says Commandante Grinder Coffee. Let's do it. So Commandante Grinder Coffee. That's how you know I listen to you a lot too well. Let's try that, right? So there's a coffee that one of our subscribers, Juan, just said in the chat. Let's see what comes up. So you can see Commander Trailmaster Coffee Grinder. Click it, boom. And if this is right, you let me know. Is that correct? Is that your product? Because if it is, look at that, so cool, right? And yeah, you can see for yourself that yeah, it works, right? And so pretty damn cool, right? And I literally showed that live using something that one of our subscribers literally commented, so you can see it works for yourself, right? Now the next step is let's do the homepage. The homepage, I've just basically made it a nice like playable kind of demo thing. So what I did to help you guys out is I actually sort of, you know, I thought about it and I thought, okay, if this is on your portfolio and you just want to showcase it to someone, yeah, I would recommend that, you know, you maybe have something like something pretty easy for them to just go ahead and mess around with, right? So what I did is I created a sort of clickable box of options which are predefined searches. So what we're going to do is go back to the homepage, add a bit of styling in. So we're going to center a bit of text, and then so one says, yep, that product was right. Nice. Will we get a link to the video or GitHub broski? Yeah. So the video is going to go live straight after this, as in it's going to go back up on YouTube, and then the actual the build is going to be uploaded to GitHub repo straight after this is done. So you guys can feel free to go ahead, get the repo, or join Zero to Full Stack Hero, which includes the repo. And yeah, and if you haven't already, remember, don't forget to check out Zero to Full Stack Hero. If any of this is too confusing, popreact.com/course, check it out. All right. So we're going to carry on building this out. Now for this one, what I did is I have a H1 and H2, very simple loader at the top. Boom. Welcome to Google Shopping. Get started by clicking one of the example search items. right? So simple. And then what I did is I had a div with a bunch of styling inside of it. So I basically just set up a grid for the div. So you guys can feel free to copy that out. So it's a grid and it gets bigger, the amount of columns as you get onto a bigger screen. And then what I do is I map through a bunch of searches, okay? So what I've done here is I basically just made a bunch of different predefined searches. So in this case, I'm gonna go ahead and show you what I did. So if I go ahead and just go to the top and I basically have a few different searches. So I created this could be a constant, you could just say searches. And I've just got ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And these are all different things. So monitors over 500, monitors sort by relevance or, the default, sorry. And then min price 500, iPhone 14 Pro Max. And I've also given it a color, different ones. So backgrounds and all that kind of stuff. Tablets under $300, tablets sort by max 300 and so forth. So basically you just put the URL that you want to send them off to, right? And then it's just an array. So in this case, we've got the array. And then I want to map through that array and present out what I have on the screen, right? So that part is the simple part. Here we basically go ahead and we map through. So we say searches. So I'll map through, and for every single search, an A tag, and you can even do a link if you wanted. So we could do a link and disable the prefetch. So I don't want to prefetch all those pages, otherwise you're going to stress your server out a little bit. And then you got the key, which is the ID, the href, the class name, just a bunch of styles, right? And then the search term itself. Now let's go ahead and give that a try. Oh, look at that. Ooh, nice. And look at that. So we've got 5 different things here. And if I was to go ahead and click on, for example, AirPods Pro, you can see, look, it triggers an AirPods Pro search. Obviously, that didn't clear the state. That's fine. We go back here, and you can see that's cached. So you have to be careful there, yeah? Like that's cached value. So you won't see that when you actually deploy that. But we're doing monitors over 500, loading results from Google, and monitors at 500. So showing results from monitors, and these are all 500. The problem, over 500, yeah. So min price 500, there you go. Go back to Google, tablets under 300. And you could even go ahead and if you wanted to add in like the max price here and stuff, you have access to them. So you can definitely do that. And look at that, guys. Yeah, absolutely awesome stuff. Under $300. There you go. That's probably with the tax and shipping. But yeah, that's absolutely awesome. And if we click into it, you guys see for yourself, it goes ahead and loads out accordingly, right? So we have something to show. So absolutely a banger of a build. And as that song dropped in, nearly at 500 likes, that was awesome. I'm going to go ahead and showcase everything that we essentially did right now. And I just want to show you as well the API that we built. So if I go to /API/shopping product with the ID, you will see the actual API endpoint that we built. So as I mentioned, full stack builds, guys. Look at that. That is the API endpoint that we built. So that data is literally what we're fetching when we land on the shopping product page, right? So that is literally showcasing to you that it has an actual live API endpoint behind it, right? Remember that little trick I told you about with the stars as well? Perfect, works great, right? So as you can see now, all of this was made possible by Oxylabs. So Oxylabs, as I mentioned before, residential proxies allows us to scrape amazing sites like Google. The documentation is so helpful. It allowed this entire process to be effortless, right? We were able to go ahead and do it. And the one thing that impressed me the most about Oxylabs was honestly, it was just fast. Right? For the fact that it's actually scraping real data off of that web page, that's really impressively fast, right? It done it in real time. There was a lot of different requests we threw its way. And honestly, for little code, we were able to get a massive output from it. So I thought that was absolutely really cool. And I was really actually quite impressed with what they were able to give back. And as you can see, this was a great little demonstration of how you can present it. So this is something I definitely recommend you put on your project or your portfolio, sorry, deploy it. And then, yeah, you can actually go ahead and create a little video of it, pop it up on your portfolio and showcase it. And that's a talking point for when you're landing your jobs, right? And remember, use the first link in the description for Oxylabs to go ahead and get a free trial. Okay, now let's go ahead and deploy this thing, right? So deploying it is always the easy, fun part that I like to talk about. So first thing I want you to do is install the Vercel CLI. I've actually went ahead and done this. So Vercel CLI, I've already installed it. So you can do that. I don't need to do that. Then what you need to do is go over to your application. And then I'm going to simply go into a second terminal here, pop this open, and I just want to double check that I'm logged into the correct account. So I'm going to do Vercel login. I think I am already logged in, but I can never be sure. So I'm going to continue. So I typed in Vercel login in the URL, and then which account was it? Oh god, my personal account. Okay, and I'm doing a quick login. Give me 1 second, guys. I have 2FA, all that good stuff. So I'm quickly logging in right now. Okay, there we go. Right, so at this point, I've gone ahead and logged in. So I done Vercel login, and then I selected GitHub. I logged into my account, and now I do Vercel to deploy it. So I basically want to go ahead and you simply type in Vercel. That is literally what you type in to deploy this app, because we've set it up with Next.js. So set up and deploy, yes, right? Sunny Sanga's team, Sunny YouTube. I'm just gonna do my personal, Sunny Sanga. And then a link to existing project, nope. What is your project name? Keep it the same. Code is located, keep it the exact same. Now this will fail. I'm going to tell you right now, this will fail. The reason why this will fail is because we don't have the environment variable set up. I'll show you how we do it. So I want to modify the settings. Nope, I'm completely fine with that. And then you'll see this, inspect. Now the reason why I do this is because it's honestly a really easy way to go ahead and set this up. So what I'd like to do is click open. This will open up your vercel.com dashboard. Then what I want you to do is head over to the settings, right? So, oh, I've actually logged into the wrong account. So let me quickly log into my correct account and I'll be right back. Right, so I'm always logging in and out of our team accounts as well. So I need to log into the correct account. And now we can see Oxylabs, yeah. So now in the correct account, we can see this, right? So head over to the settings, go to the environment variables, and here is the magic point, right? So what I want you to do now is go over to your code, go to your env local, and click. I was about to, you thought I'd slip. You thought I'd slip. So click your environment local file, and I'm just gonna hide mine for a second. Yeah, so you should see this. In fact, right? So I've hidden my password, obviously, but basically copy this. So literally do Command A, copy it with your password intact, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy that, and then what I want you to do is go back over to that screen and click this and quite literally paste it, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and do it right now. So Command V or Control V, whatever you're using, I'm gonna go ahead and paste it, and it quite literally, I'm gonna hide my key for a second and then I'll undo it. So you can see what it does is it literally pops it in. Okay, so I'm gonna put this back and then I'm gonna click on, make sure these are ticked, I'm gonna click on save, right? So I'm gonna pop that in and I'm clicked on save. Now I've uploaded my environment variables. So in this case, Oxylabs username and password. Now you can do it on the CLI. I just prefer this. This is an easy way to do it. Hey Sunny, the build and place is sick. Thank you, Matt G. I appreciate you did. So now we've actually gone ahead and uploaded that. You can see our build failed naturally because it didn't have the correct environment variables. Now what I can do is I can simply go ahead and say Vercel. Right, and if I do Vercel in pull, you can even pull it back. So if I do Vercel now, it will go ahead and deploy with those new environment variables. If I click on this link, we should be able to get taken to a deployment here, and we can actually see for ourselves this in action. Right, now I will be able to actually go ahead and share this with you guys on a live stream, and then I'll take it down as soon as the live is built. I will take this down afterwards, of course, because not the video, the actual, the deployed version of the build, because obviously it's going to spam through a quota, and I want to respect the quota that we've been given from the guys over Oxylabs. But let's go ahead, and it's building out. Let's see for ourselves. I haven't actually deployed this one yet, so this is live, right? So we're gonna see how it goes. If I hit into a little roadmap, we'll debug it live as well. That's all good. Right. Now it's worth mentioning, as I mentioned before, if you get stuck at any point, check out Zero to Full Stack Hero. This is our flagship course. Honestly, we go through all of this stuff. We have weekly coaching calls, so you've got access to me, success coaches. You've got everyone in the community just there to help each other out. Lots and lots of modules that I'm constantly adding into, whether it's React Native, whether it's React, whether it's Web3, whether it's GraphQL, whatever it is, even project management, Scrum, Agile, all that good stuff. We teach it inside the course. You can have a sneak peek of a lesson here, for example, look for yourself. And what I'd really recommend is that honestly, just check out for yourself our students, right? So these are some of our students, what they say. You can see, honestly, my favorite thing is the video, right? We built this from actual students, the vibe inside the Papa Fam. See for yourself and then join us. The difference between the Platinum and Diamond is Diamond, you simply get more coaching calls and you get access to more higher tier products that we're going to be releasing soon. So that includes a new 100 coding problems pack. You heard it here first, right? So a lot of new stuff is coming. So definitely check it out. Zero to Full Stack Hero, first thing in the description. Yeah. And I will see you inside, right? We've got nearly over 1,000 students, which is absolutely incredible, right? Missing key prop. Okay. So this is a few little issues we have that we need to go ahead and fix. Missing key prop in our term loading. Okay. So this is fine. We can easily debug these. So in our loading, so what you can actually do to build it locally is do Vercel build, and then this will build locally. So you can do Vercel pull, yes, that's fine. Yeah, and then it'll pull the environment variables, and it will try and build it here, and then it will show us where those errors were. But in this case, I can just run through. So we can do search term loading. So let's do loading, search term, a little bit of live debugging for you all. We do map. So where we have our maps, we haven't got keys. Okay, so it's a problem. So in this case, let's just put a key. In this case, this is I. This is a dummy one anyway. And then here we have item I, div key I, and so forth. Okay, that's fine. And the next one was missing key prop in reactjs and results list. So results list, we have the map, which was here. We have got a key. Yeah, this was very bad of me, by the way. Whenever you map through, you should always have keys. Do not have keys, right? It's very bad practice not to have a key. Right, so here was the other one. I have got a key there. I have got a key there. I have got a key there. Here, I do not have a key. So key, let's do value as value. Right, that's fine. Okay. In fact, for this one, I'm not sure because you could actually end up with the same value. So I just want to play it safe and do it. Yeah. Okay, now escaped characters. Oh, that one always irritates me. Escaped characters. Okay, escaped characters. Where have I got my non-escaped characters? Search for search page. I think it's talking about this. Anyway, let's see. So it was on line 53 in here. So around 53. So it was showing results for. Okay, let's just do. For now, you can escape the characters with this. For now, I'm just gonna keep it super simple, change it to a dash. And then to check if this works, you can do a Vercel build here. So if this is how you can basically test for yourself and find the bugs and errors in your own code. I also need an escape character here. So I need to cancel that build. And it was also for the product ID page. And there was a few things that we had missing. So image tag, that's fine. Key prop we've done 159 and 167. 159 where is it? All right, yeah, so here with the product review, so obviously you can escape those, and 157 no reviews yet, and you can escape that. But I'm just gonna I just want to kind of get past that, right? You guys can do that yourself. All right, boom. Vercel build. Cool. We're so close, guys. Nearly at 500 likes as well. Absolutely awesome build. Let's see for ourselves. And you guys can see, like, just it's quite a handy thing to know. If you do run into that, you can do Vercel build locally, see if the build goes through, and then you can go ahead and just, get past that final step yourself. For a product here, we actually have missing key prop in product as well. Okay, that's not very good. So map. Here I have a map. Here I do not. Yeah, I do. I do not. For now, that's okay. Yeah. Typically, you would, when you're mapping through things, you would have some kind of identifier. In this case, it's okay. I'm just doing a very simple. You shouldn't really do that. You shouldn't really do that. Size 3. Let's just do I in this case. I just want to kind of deploy. And then here we've got the highlight itself. That can be actually the map. So where else we got it? So key has that has a key, 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 that's a key, and yeah, okay, cool. There we go. Why is key mandatory? Because basically when you render in React, the key is the only thing that tells React what to actually go ahead and what change. For example, if you have a list of 1,000 different things inside of any component and you don't have a key, React has no idea what one item is different from another, right? It just thinks that everything's the exact same. So it basically re-renders the entire 1,000 items. That's so bad, right? When you have a key, everything's individually identifiable. So it says, okay, none of these things changed. Only like 3 new rows that got added. So only re-render in the 3 new rows, but you don't need to re-render in these other 999,000 rows. So you see, there's a massive optimization there. So that's something that you shouldn't skip over, okay? Hey Sunny, can you give us the music playlist? For sure, dude. It's in the description. You can actually go ahead and just head over to papareact.com as well. At the bottom, you'll see it there. You just pop in your email, we'll send it over to you. All right? It's actually in the description of the YouTube video. So now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and type in Vercel. So it passed the build step. So now the deployment should work. So Jay popped it in the chat as well. So now we upload it, we inspect the build, and this is the one that will win. This one will succeed because we've actually done a Vercel build locally, which means that this will actually pass on the on the actual thing. Then we can actually go ahead and see for ourselves if it's done. And then if we do all of that, we are gold, right? Everything is working the way that we wanted it, and it's just great, right? So just to explain as well, today we use Next.js 13.4. We use Tremor for some of the cool components, the select libraries in particular. We use a skeleton loader, which was something we never done before in a build, to actually show you what is happening as the UI is updating. We did touch into the server actions experimental stuff, but we didn't use server actions. Like I said, I'm actually creating a separate video on it. We've actually shot it, recorded it, it's all done. That's going to be releasing sometime this week as well. And then we used one of the many APIs that Oxylabs offers. It was an e-commerce scraper API to incredibly simply go ahead and actually pull data. And it was simple because Oxylab made it simple. It was actually a really nice process working with them. We created our own API backends. And then, yeah, we went ahead and just pulled the data from Oxylabs, which was scraping Google, and rendered it out into a beautiful looking UI. So the whole thing was just clean as hell. That is not what I was going to show you. Yeah, there we go. This is because I've cut it running locally. This is basically shut off here. Kind of one module undefined. Yeah, I've completely shut something down here. That's because I gave it a dummy thing. Let's go back to localhost 3000 and let's just see our deployment status. Okay, so I've completely just destroyed this for whatever reason. Okay. Oh, look at that. Look. In the meantime, while we're messing around with local stuff, this deployed. So I'm going to go ahead and visit this right now, and we can see it for ourselves. So before I share this link, I'm going to go ahead and do it myself. So I'm saying MacBook Pro 16-inch. Boom. Search for that. Let's have a look. And we can see, okay, server-side. Okay, so something happened with that. So we can actually go ahead and see. But firstly, it deployed, which is awesome. But naturally, as any dev will experience, sometimes it happens, right? Failed to pass URL from Oxylabs. Okay, so what happened here was we actually didn't give in the correct URL. So we need to pass in HTTPS. That's why. So API/search. So that is actually coming from our fetch call. So this is where we have our get helper fetch thing that's basically making that call. That's what's happening. So basically we go to our get fetch URL and here. So this is what's happening. So our Vercel URL is actually the problem here. So this one, we can basically do something like this. HTTPS // and then that should get us past what we were doing. So at this point, you could just do Vercel. Let's just redeploy. All right. So yeah, live debugging. You guys want to see it? I'm doing it. This is the reality of live coding. But yeah, I want to show you how we get past it. So that should do it, to be honest. HTTPS, it should get us past. The reason being is because right now we're trying to hit this endpoint, and the API does not exist here. Like, as in the end of the day, that is not an existing thing. So if we were to go here, HTTPS, like so, now that will exist, right? But as in, obviously, it's not, you know, that's a GET request to it. We didn't have a GET request, we were doing a post request. So let's give it a try now. Let's go back here. You make it look too easy. How long do you spend in this video prep? Honestly, I prep for a while, right? So obviously I have to prep these live streams beforehand, otherwise it would be ridiculously crazy long. But yeah, it takes time naturally, right? So that deployed. Let's go ahead and check it out now and see what happens. So let's see, MacBook Pro, searching. Okay. Did I do it? Did I fix it? Is it done? Is it done? Or is it gonna scream at me? Okay, we got closer. And then something happened. So let's have a look. Logs. Post API search, error, serverless function, and we did not get our error back. Let me have a look. So the reason being was, oh, it timed out. Okay. So this is something which is actually pretty common. So the reason being is if you get into this error, and I'm actually glad I showed you this. So what happened here was, as it's a serverless function, it went over 10 seconds, right? Because obviously it has to fetch. And this is something that you're going to find will happen with any kind of, you know, like a scraper or any kind of API process, which will take a little bit of time. So if, for example, if I typed in iPhone here, searching, this is taking more like 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 7 seconds, 8 seconds, 9 seconds, 10. So once it hits past 10 seconds, it will basically time out unless you have a paid plan on your Vercel, right? So that's something which is a little bit hidden, but it doesn't tell you that all very clearly, but this is where you spot that. So here, so 10 seconds timed out, right? So what you would have to do at this point is simply, and this will work. That means that it does work. It just doesn't, it's because we timed out. So pretty much you can have, you know, in this case, that's blocked because we've done that, but create a team and you can deploy it to that team, and you just need to simply add a card to it. You don't actually get build, right? But you can pretty much add a card to it. And then you can, while you're in hobby, you only have 10-second time limit for serverless action. So all you need to do, upgrade your plan out of hobby for Vercel, run it, and then you'll get past this hurdle. Trust me, I've done lots of production builds. That is literally what the problem is, and you'll get past it. So with that said, that is the issue that we were facing. And yeah, we were able to deploy it, okay? So it does work. And I think it's very handy to actually come past this part, which was something which I missed initially. But yeah, the Vercel URL gives us the domain. We actually have to append HTTPS to it still, right? What? JS Things goes, see you on the next post, Sunny J. Lit stuff. Thank you so much, Jade. I appreciate you. And just like that, we're about to break past 500 likes as the video ends out. With that said, let's come up to do a nice little beautiful demonstration of the entire build to wrap this up, right? So I'm going to do this with a bit of nice music behind us as well. And yeah, so what did we do today? We went ahead and built out a Google Shopping clone. This was basically able to scrape Google for search results using Oxylabs. If we type in, for example, MacBook Pro 16-inch, it would search. This was using that new use form status. I showed you how to use client components, server components. Manager says, no way, this is live. There you go. And then we use React skeleton loaders to get that beautiful loading UI. We also have support for all the different filters like pages, sort, min price, max price, and then it loads up these dynamic side filters, and these actually link to real values, right? So these actually take us to the actual Google website, so you can see for yourself these are real. All right, so if you want to go to this, oh, there we go, nice. All right, so in this case, if we go to, for example, a Walmart link, click it, this will actually take us to our own Google Shopping page, right? So in this case, click it, again, React skeleton loader, as it loads from the back end, boom, it loads in, we get the reviews, we get the specifications, everything loads in, everything is mobile responsive, looks damn beautiful, right? Looks really, really clean. And then we've got this nice little user area where we can basically play with these little dummy searches. So if I click on AirPods Pro, loads it up, and there you go, right? And we also learned about caching, different techniques that you can use. In this case, we're caching based on a revalidate strategy. So every 5 minutes, but up until 5 minutes, it will serve the cached version of that URL. And this means that it will cache the URL based on what filters were actually appended to it as well. So if you basically set a min price of 200 and max price of 500, that exact URL will get cached. So the next person who does that, if it's within the revalidation period of 5 minutes, what we set, they will get the cached version. And then after 5 minutes, they'll get the new version, server-side rendered, and that'll get cached for another 5 minutes and so forth, right? So hopefully that helps you out. Right, mouthful, but it's so cool. All right, so let's see. Manod says, thank you so much, brother. Because of your teaching as well, I'm currently working as a software engineer in an esteemed US-based company. Jay, screenshot that. That is awesome. Debugging with Jesus says, love from Kenya, Sunny and Jay. Great content. Thank you. Chavi says, you deploy every time to prevent the problems with production, or what? Can you explain, please? You deploy because you want your app in production. That's the thing. We don't want our project to sit on our local machine. We want to actually push it out to the world so that way people can use it. Employer, you know, you want your app to be live, and that's what we do when we deploy it. We push it live, right? So and remember, once you deploy this app, you have to go ahead and upgrade your Vercel plan. Otherwise, the 10-second timeout will probably bite you like it did with us, right? But otherwise, you can see for yourself, it does actually work, right? So remember, this code will be available on the GitHub, proper GitHub repo. The link to that is in the description. Sahib saying, yo, what's up, man? Thank you for the donation. He goes, great build, brother. Learned so much new stuff. I appreciate you, man. Sahib is one hell of an awesome designer, and he's working with us right now as well. So really, really appreciate that guy. Yeah, guys, you saw it here for yourself today. Absolutely awesome build. And again, yeah, we learned all about Next.js 13.4, Oxylabs, TypeScript, Tailwind CSS, Tremor, and Vercel. And yeah, it was a really, really fun build overall, right? So you guys can see, look, it's just cool, right? Definitely one to add to your portfolio. And as always, I want to get us past 500 likes before this video ends. Someone says, please build a full stack man application also in the upcoming time. Yep, I will definitely do that. Hello from Indonesia. Oxylabs. Yo, Oxylabs themselves are in the chat, guys. Thanks for the awesome live, Sunny. Thank you guys for helping us out. And yeah, thank you for providing an awesome service. It was so damn fast to scrape that, right? So honestly, no joke. So damn fast to scrape real Google. Look at that. Real time. Oxylabs is doing its magic behind the scenes at scraping, and boom, we have the data in front of us. So awesome stuff, right? With that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I have a new plan to be releasing content on this channel, which is basically going to impress and love, like you're going to love it, right? So essentially, we're dropping a lot more coding content on this channel. All I need you to do is smash that like button, hit subscribe, and hit the little bell notification icon. So that way, when I drop those coding videos on this channel, you're going to go ahead and see all of that stuff, right? So make sure you go ahead and yeah, check it for yourself. What was I saying? Yeah, so make sure you go ahead. I was reading the comments as well. I kind of went a bit brain foggy. Yeah, make sure you subscribe. And as I mentioned before, we're going to be dropping 1 to 2 coding videos per week on top of hitting live streams. So live streams will always be coming out on this channel, but I want to be dropping a lot more concentrated content, which is really straight to the point. For example, server actions will be coming out soon. And we also have Next.js caching, right? So those kind of videos that I think you can go to, revise, and then you can come to these practice. So that way this channel is just untouchable in terms of what you can actually practice, learn from, and all that good stuff. But anyway, none of this would be possible without you guys. So I appreciate and love each and every one of you. As always, you know how we do it. We got to leave this the only way we know it. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning into this stream. JS goes, hit that like button. Great products. Thank you, Oxylabs, for making this possible today. And yeah, this was something to add to your entire portfolio. And if you do want to carry on with this kind of energy, this kind of mentality, you want to have constant mentorship every single week, then Zero to Full Stack Hero is the place to go ahead and check it out, right? Kushta says, Sunny rock, so is his hairstyle. JS says, teasers here, really, really exciting now. Yep, 100%. Edward says, Next.js caching. Yes, I have a video coming on it very shortly, guys. So as always, it's your boy Papa React, and as I will see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this one, and yeah, go practice it. Peace. Absolutely beautiful build. Look at this, guys. A little demonstration of the app one more time as we sign out. I can't leave when the drop's about to happen. Guys, see for yourself. Beautiful stuff. Really nice. Mobile responsive, all that good stuff. Heroxy, love you, bro. Got my job. Amazing stuff. Jay, screenshot that. Huge. Sunny's on fire. Augustine. Rashmi says, congrats, Papa. Amazing, amazing stuff. Thank you so much, guys. See you in the next one. Peace. Oh, okay. That totally flopped. See you later, guys. Peace.